Yeah. Woo. Friday, baby! Welcome in the Right Round Show Center Radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Hope you're having a lovely week. Let's bring it to a strong close, shall we? Good to have you. I am Rob Brown. On the other side of the metaphorical glass, in charge of this and all radio programs that you love, is the great one, Lonzo. Ready to rock and roll. All four mouses in front of him.
I'm your huckleberry.
Armed to the teeth and ready to go to bring you yet another award-winning edition of the radio broadcast. How's everybody? Y'all doing all right? Everybody good? How's your mom and him?
Hey Rob, I don't know if you knew this. It's Friday.
Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's working for the weekend.
Was she talking about dancing? Got to get down on Friday.
I mean, just get down.
It's
man.
kind of a dance song, so
just get down.
Okay.
Sometimes you just gotta get down, you know.
So now I've got,
gotta, as the kids say, groove.
What do you want to do? What you going to do when you want to get down?
Put your back up on the wall. I know. Okay. I have a question for you, Lonzo. This AM. First off, let me say this. And no one cares, but it is a revelation. I was asleep at 9:30 last night. Great one. 9:30. There was one digit in the hours position on the clock when I was out like a light.
Here's what I would like. I would like to thank you for inviting us into your transition into old. And we're getting to see that
day by day.
You know, I'm already there. So getting to see someone else transition into it. And I'm thinking, was that me? Is that how that happened with me?
Yes.
That's why we're hanging on to all our stuff that's not old.
Correct. So I went to sleep at 9:30 last night. And this phenomenon happened to me that I've realized I'm just screwed, though, because I can go to sleep at 2:30 in the morning. I can go to sleep at 9:30 at night. And when I wake up, I'm the exact same amount of tired. Exact same amount of tired. I feel the same way when the alarm hits. I'm like, and I know, like, unfortunately for me, I got the driving factor if I get to go to a job I like. But I woke up this AM. Texter says, one of us. I woke up this AM just as tired as I am when I go to bed at 9:30 or when I go to bed at 2:30 as I did going to bed at 9:30 last night. And so I get up and I'm driving to work. And for those of you that have been following the adventures of Rob Brown, I am in the process of attempting to be less of a fat. I'm trying to lose the lbs, and it's going all right. I'm down like 10 since I started back in the beginning of June. It's slow, but you know, it's a start. So I've been trying to cut back on the amount of energy drinks that I'm consuming. I'm not saying it's zero, but I'm trying to cut back on the number.
We've seen you attempt that a couple times.
Yeah.
And
for the record, what I realized was you can't go from as many as I normally drink to zero. Like there's a happy medium somewhere in the middle. So
by the way, it doesn't stop when he's in there. It continues.
There's usually one after the show too. And so it got to a point where I was knocking back like 4 a day. And like you can do sugar-free, carb-free, but that's still too many. So I cut it back. Now I'm at like 2 a day. I'll do like one during the show, one after the show. And so this AM I went and I stopped. And I also found that if I go to the gas station before the show, instead of going on Monday like I used to and buying like 30, right? If I go to the gas station in the morning, even though it adds like 10 minutes onto my day, go grab 1 or 2. And when you bring it to work, once I'm here, I'm here. So I got to ration out the monsters.
All right. So I mean, the solution to this is obviously Ric Flair's mushroom brew, whatever that is.
I'm not gonna lie, I want to try it. I do. I've talked myself into trying it.
Are you gonna read like the small print just to see exactly?
You don't inherently trust Ric Flair to make the best decisions for your health and well-being?
I will say
no. We don't.
Exactly. You know what you expect from Ric Flair.
So I stopped this AM at the little gas station right across Woodruff here, and I go in and I'm going through. the energy drink section, and I pick up. I'm a Monster guy, always have been, but the lady friend and I have started to make the switch over to Celsius. All right, it's a little bit less terrible for you.
I've seen ads for that.
Yeah, they come in smaller cans, right? So you're drinking less of it inherently. We've started to make the switch over, and so I go and I out of just habit, I pick up a couple of Monsters. I'm big right now on the Ultra Fiesta Mango and the grape, the purple grape. And then when I pick them up, I'm like, no, you said you were going to do the Celsius. So I go to put them back in the cooler, Zoe, and both of them fall out of my hand onto the floor and just dent up hard. And I had already said out loud, no, get Celsius, because I'm the type of lunatic that talks to himself out loud. I'm like, dude, get the Celsius. So I drop both Monsters. They both fall on the floor. They both hit hard. They both dent. And I've got the cooler door open. When I reach down and I pick them up and I look over at the counter, and the lady working the counter, Lonzo, is like,
yeah, I can't blame her. If you drop those, I'm sure it was really loud.
Oh, it was very noticeable. Yeah. So then I'm like, oh crap, I have to buy these now. But there was like 2%.
It's not like it's not like a big grocery store where there's a shot no one saw you. It's a smaller place. So
there's like 2% of the back of the lizard brain that's like, dude, who cares? You didn't buy them yet. Put them back in the cooler and get the ones you want. And then there's the other part of me that's like, this lady behind the counter might come out of here and just kill me if I'm like, yeah. No, they're fine. They're fine. I dropped them on the floor. They didn't bust open. They're not spraying Monster all over your store. Like, they're fine. Whoever's next won't mind. And then I bought them anyway. But too big of a jerk move to put them back in the cooler at that point? It is, right?
Yeah, it kind of is.
An awful move.
Especially seeing as how someone saw you. I mean, the other thing is, I've never really had one of those before. Are they carbonated at all?
These?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So open it up over there.
No, well, it's fine now. This was what time is that? This was at 6. Also, I went to bed at 9:30, left my house at 6:15 this morning. Usually I leave between 6:30 and 6:45, which puts me here between 6:45 and 7. This morning I left my house.
Okay, crisis averted.
This was at 6:30 this morning.
I still was concerned,
All right.
I've seen the effects of that sort of thing on a board, and it's bad.
Texter said that woo back and forth reminds me of Jay Lethal and Ric Flair's promo. This is awesome.
Woo!
Woo! Woo! Woo! You're welcome.
I hit it one last time. It just didn't work. I'm sorry. When you get older,
We got a lot to talk about on the radio broadcast today, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday here on the show. I mean, it's Friday everywhere, but the Friday edition of the show.
Technically it's Saturday in some places already.
I guess technically.
I don't think it's Thursday anywhere, so it's at least Friday in most places.
I think is it Saturday in Auckland, New Zealand already?
It might be Saturday in Britain. Well, no, it's Saturday night in Britain. Or
no, it's
like
still,
Saturday late afternoon.
No, it's still Friday there. They're
I meant Friday late afternoon.
It is 1:09 Saturday morning in Auckland, New Zealand. Why, Rob, would you pick a place that is so wildly specific and far away? And the answer is because Auckland, New Zealand is where the United States women's national soccer team will be playing World Cup campaign game numero uno this evening, 9 p.m. The quest for star number 5 begins when they take on Vietnam. That game's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon there. It is at 9 o'clock at night here in the States.
By the way,
Let's freaking go.
I'm cheering your transition, not what you're talking about. The transit it was beautiful, man.
Okay, no los dios.
Yeah, I am so proud of being here today.
You should be. You should be. The show is award winning.
All right, so when you wear that jacket, does that mean it's gone from the window, right?
I don't know. It's kind of
when the sun hits it, I am not joking, and you're outside, you can see, let's say you walk across the street to grab some lunch and you come back and the sun just hits it and you're like, what the heck is that? And then it's like, oh, that's Rob's jacket. That's not an exameration.
Well,
that actually happened.
I should take it down, Lonzo, because there's nothing more that I hate than unwarranted attention.
Well, I'm more worried about traffic. Yeah, I mean that's my concern.
So the U.S. women begin their World Cup campaign tonight when they take on Vietnam in game number 1 of group play. Super pumped about this. It's going to be interesting because there are a couple of injuries that the ladies are dealing with right now. We know that Megan Rapinoe is going to be on limited minutes this evening. We know Rose Lavelle is going to be on limited minutes this evening. As far as I am aware of, everybody's healthy. Everybody is going to be able to go, though some of the ladies are going to be on limited minutes. We do know that Becky Sauerbrunn is going to be missing this World Cup. She has got a knee injury. Caterina Macario will be missing as well. She is also recovering from an ACL injury. Mallory Swanson suffered a torn patella tendon injury back in April. She will be unavailable as well. So the U.S. women's national team is dealing with a number of injuries to the overall roster, but the players who made the Cup team, the ones that have traveled to Australia, New Zealand for the Women's World Cup, which we begin this evening, that roster is fully healthy. You are missing a couple of mainstays. You are missing a couple of big names off of it, but the players that did make the trip down under, that was terrible. Don't do that again, Rob. The players who made the trip to the home of Mordor will be available.
All right, so you tried to go Grayson Waller there. That's what you tried to do. Are you even wearing kind of a Grayson Waller type
Dude,
t-shirt?
On the list of Australians I impersonate, he's at best third. It's Crocodile Hunter, Crocodile Dundee, Crocodile Wrestler. That's the order.
Who's the Crocodile Hunter?
Steve Irwin?
Steve Irwin. Yeah, but he's not.
Crocodile Hunter.
Yeah, but he wasn't called a Crocodile Hunter, was he?
What? Okay, on the Mount Rushmore of wholesome television individuals, it's Uncle Phil, Bob Ross, Mr. Rogers, Steve Irwin. That is the wholesome television 4-part right there. The 4 horsemen of wholesome television.
Yeah,
Bob Ross, Steve Irwin, Mr. Rogers, Uncle Phil. That's the list.
I prefer Marlon Perkins over Steve Irwin.
Marlon Perkins is an American zoologist who was on the air in apparently the 1950s, is what I'm picking up here. He was born in 1905.
You've never seen Wild Kingdom? Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom?
I mean, I know of it, but I'm relatively sure that show ended like before I was alive. Crocodile Hunter goes above Marlon Perkins. Sorry,
Marlon Perkins hands down.
No. Steve Irwin, Bob Ross, Uncle Phil, Mr. Rogers. That's the list.
You know what? And I would go Jack Hanna before.
No.
Yeah, for
Jack
sure.
Jack Hanna does not go above the Crocodile Hunter.
Without a doubt.
Have you been
to the Columbus Zoo?
I don't need to.
Right. I have. And many times.
That's fine. That's great. Have you been to the Australian Zoo?
Neither.
Then you can't. That's a game winner on Friday, baby. Let's go.
You haven't been there either.
Don't need to. I've watched more episodes of The Crocodile Hunter than Jack Hanna's made appearances on television. What did Jack Hanna do? Jack showed up, terrified a couple of late night TV hosts. Don't get me wrong, absolutely hysterical every time.
This was pretty funny, yeah.
Steve Irwin raised a generation to be kind to nature. Steve Irwin was so beloved that when the Stingray took him out, there was a whole generation of people ready to go full genocide on stingrays, and we all went, no, that's not what Steve taught us.
By the way, I just want to say, I never said I didn't like Steve Irwin. Sorry, I forgot that one of his monikers was Crocodile Hunter. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but other than that, he's number 3 on my list. Marlon Perkins, Jack Hanna, then Steve Irwin.
Did Jack Hanna ever make a Sports Center commercial where he wrestled Albert the alligator? Nope. Point, Steve.
I wouldn't be shocked if Jack Hanna was on a Sports Center commercial. Now I'm gonna have to look that up. But you know, I appreciate your passion for this, but Marlon Perkins and Jack Hanna, more their expertise was everything in the world. Steve Irwin, more of an ocean guy.
You don't know who Steve Irwin is. That's just what I'm just convinced you didn't know he was the crocodile hunter. Texter says $10 penalty to Lonzo for not remembering Steve being the crocodile hunter. Another texter says, get so out of here. I've heard enough disrespect.
Wow, you youngins are mad.
Because you're coming after the TV animal goat. All right.
Am I?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Maybe for your demographic, yes. And probably the majority of the listeners are in your age range. So I get that. So, I mean, if you want to look at it from that angle,
the list
okay.
goes Irwin, Attenborough, Hanna, and then that old guy that you mentioned at the end. What's his name?
Marlon Perkins. By the way,
Jacques Cousteau. Why didn't he get some love?
Well, because he was like,
because he didn't raise a generation of us to be better people like Steve Irwin did.
Jacques Cousteau was more of an ocean guy, like Steve Irwin.
He was exclusively an ocean guy,
yeah.
unlike Steve Irwin.
Yeah, I mean, and I get this from a guy who grew up by the ocean. So, I mean, I appreciate that you appreciate him so much. Look at all you coming at me. I never said I didn't like him. I said he's 3 on my list. He's 3. Okay. All right.
That's too low.
All right. And all of you think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's not mine. All right. And it has nothing to do with popularity. Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time until we get a few more rings out of Patrick Mahomes. And then he is. Why are you even saying something, Siri? Stop.
Because even Siri knows you're wrong. Siri's going to pop up and be like,
the most popular television animal guy of all time is Steve Irwin.
Irwin, Ross, Rogers, Uncle Phil. That's the list. That's just it.
All right. Diddy's texting me and telling me I'm going to get canceled. Dude, I don't care. What's that mean to me? I'll go home to the woods. Oh, wow. I can't go out in public anymore. Daggone it. I really was going to go paint the town tonight.
All right. Let's take a break.
Marlon Perkins would know what that means. Paint the town.
Yeah, because it's an expression from the 50s. Let's take a break. Go to twitter.com/thefanupstate. I'm about to put up a poll. Who's the best TV animal bro? Irwin, Attenborough, Hanna, other. That's the list.
So you're not putting Marlon Perkins up there?
No one knows who that is.
No. See,
no one.
Here's what you're doing.
No one under the age of 50 knows who that is.
That's not true. 40-ish would get it, and you don't want to put that on there because you're afraid it might win.
Who do you want to replace with it? I can go 4 options.
Other. We don't need other.
Okay.
What do we need other for? Other is a cop-out.
Go to twitter.com/thefanupstate and vote on maybe the most important poll of all time. We'll be come back here in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some sports on this Sports Talk radio show. South Carolina Media Day popped up yesterday. I've got a bunch of audio from you from Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler. I'll play it all for you when we come back.
Really? All that? That's a lot of audio. I'm just saying.
I'll play some of it now and some of it later on the Rob Brown Show.
Okay.
And the Fan Upstate. Whoa! I'll even let you tell me what order do you want them listed so I'm not accused of bias. Who should be option number 1?
Just put Steve Irwin in the middle. Doesn't matter. Okay. Just put him in the middle.
Go,
we went 4 names, right? So there is no middle.
We're going Jack Hanna, number 1. We'll put, what's his name? Blue Marlin? Kevin Marlin Brando? What's his name? I forgot. Steve Marlin? Marlin the Clownfish?
Marlon Perkins.
Marlin
Perkins.
Is his name Marlin like the fish? M-A-R-L-I-N?
I've never had to spell it before. You said you just looked it up and you can't remember.
Yes, it's Marlin like the fish. All right. Steve Irwin.
By the way, it's Marlin like the fish.
All right. Jack Hanna, Marlon Perkins, Steve Irwin, Richard Attenborough.
Yeah. You looking up Attenborough, or you just know how to spell it?
I know.
Do you know how to spell
Sir
Attenborough?
Richard Attenborough, do you think?
Yeah, it is a sir. Well, he won right away. I mean, how can you not vote for a knight?
All right. You know what? I'm going to run this poll all the way through Monday morning.
Well, you should. You absolutely should. You should.
The poll is worded: the fight between Lonzo and America rages on. Who's the best TV animal dude?
No. See, you're skewing it again already. Why do you got to put my name in there? So you're saying pick America or pick Lonzo. That's how you're
Lonzo,
wording it.
There is nothing about who you're answering.
No. But you are wording it in a way to try to make me lose.
How am I trying to make you lose? No one knows your answer. No one knows.
Listen. You're a politician writing over there.
Lonzo just does this so that when his answer inevitably comes in last,
by the way,
to blame me.
Here's the thing: win or lose, it doesn't matter as long as the wording of the question is fair and you're not trying to skew the listener a certain direction.
Obviously not doing.
Yeah, you are. You just put me up against America. Who's going to vote for me over America?
Nobody's voting. You're not an option on the poll, and Lonzo's pick is not listed anywhere. It just says this is your fight. You did this. We were all happy to let it be Steve.
Is that Bindi Keegan, I believe?
Bindi or Robert. There's two of them, and Robert's doing a wonderful job on the social media.
Bindi's the only one that matters.
That's a correct take. You know what? I got to tell you, the Wildcrats do a wonderful animal show for kids.
No idea. I've heard of all those other people,
the Wildcrats
but I haven't.
Are a good kids nature show. I got no problem with that.
Come on, James. That's not right, dude.
Usually that's like to go against Rob Zoe, but Steve Irwin is the best, and Zelda is the best game this year.
Zelda is not going to sell the most, and Zelda's for children, and that's fine. Just like Steve Irwin is for children, and Marlon Perkins and Jack Hanna are for adults.
For somebody who's arguing in favor of Comic Sans Serif earlier.
Hey, Rob, don't bring in a conversation that we had off the air on the air. We never said that we could bring that on the air.
It's amazing that there are things that are for kids that you prop up as great, and kids that then things that you go, that's for kids. Pick a side, Lonzo.
I appreciate your passion. I really do.
Do what?
I appreciate your passion.
Twitter.com/thefanupstate. Go vote on the poll. Who's the best TV animal dude? That poll's up. That poll. Not only is that poll up, that poll is staying up all the way till we start the show Monday.
By the way, the poll is skewed in such a way where if anyone's listening, they're automatically going to go for a certain thing to go against me, and that's fine. Just be honest. If you want to pick a certain thing, pick a certain thing. And Keegan says literally because no one knows Marlon. That's untrue. I bet that if Rob Brown or myself were to walk like the opposite of where we are right now and ask any of the older gentlemen, or even ask Tara, I bet Tara knows who he is.
You know what? I'm happy to do this experience. I'm happy to do the experiment, not the experience. I bet more people know Marlon as Nemo's dad from the movie than know who Marlon
which was probably
Jackson
a
is.
tribute to Marlon Perkins. If
it might have been.
Yeah. I think you would also, if you go down and ask the Hawk and Tom show, I bet they know who Marlon Perkins is. If you would go down and talk to the Rise guys, bet they know who Marlon Perkins is.
I'll take that bet.
By the way, Nine is one of the smartest people you've ever met. You go ask him. He'll know.
I'll take that bet. I inevitably see Nine in the commode once a day. I will ask him when we're in there. It's going to be a weird conversation, but I'm doing it. All right.
Why don't you just go down there and interrupt their show? I mean, if you're so passionate about it, go down there and walk right in the middle of the Planet Studio and ask them.
There are shows I'm happy to interrupt. I'll go interrupt Stone Man's show to do it. Not that one. I ain't got that much pull. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, Spencer Rattler, Shane Beamer, and the crew of Gamecocks that went down to SEC Media Days had their time in the limelight. Shane Beamer opened up the day with his media availability and spent about half an hour on the mic up in front of reporters from around the southeastern region. And I got some audio from it for you. Let's start with clip one. Let's start with clip number one here. Let's just go right out of the gate. Shane got asked out of the gate, what's the focus for this year?
It's a big thing with us, and a big message is no complacency. We can't assume that because things went well for us last season, because we won 8 games and accomplished a lot of firsts, that it's just automatically going to go that way again because we've got returning players. We've got 38 new guys on our football team, and I know in today's college football rosters turnover more than they ever have. But 38 is a really, really high number when you talk about incoming freshmen and transfers. So we have gone from 2 wins to 7 wins to 8 wins, but it's going to take that much more in every area. Our challenge has been to be better in every single area of our program, every department, than we were in 2022.
I'm going to count. You know what? I'm going to count this as breaking news, Lonzo. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and count this as breaking news. All the South Carolina fans about to be mad at me. I just got our ACC Radio Row Media Day schedule. Joining us on Thursday, that's Clemson Day. Joining us on Thursday at 2:16 will be Cade Klubnik, quarterback for the Clemson LT Grace. Joining us at 2:32 will be
just because it's Spanish doesn't mean it's not
promo time, Lonzo.
Yeah, but you said the word.
It's promo time.
Okay, we'll keep promoing.
At 2:16, we'll be joined by Clemson Tiger quarterback. At 2:16 p.m., we'll be joined by the quarterback of Clemson, Cade Klubnik. At 2:32, we'll be joined by Will Putnam. And at 2 p.m. on Thursday, we'll be joined by Dabo Sweeney. Now,
why'd you go backwards?
Because I was going to announce that Dabo's going. He's the crown jewel, right?
Okay. All right.
And I will tell you that we will
What would happen if I accidentally play?
First off, not an accident.
I'm not going to do that because that would get me reprimanded by the powers that be, probably.
So coming up next Thursday, we will interview at 2 o'clock Dabo Sweeney, at 2:16 Cade Klubnik, and at 2:32 Will Putnam. We will take those interviews, record them at the time, and then we will play them back for you on Friday, since the 3 Clemson interviews take place obviously after we leave the show.
Wait! I didn't realize. I didn't think about the timing because I'm still in.
It turns out 2 o'clock. We're not on the air.
We used to be. So yeah, and we know that my head is nowhere where it needs to be today. So, so chances are I probably still will be able to play the rallying cry for Clemson.
Lonzo will not be a part of those interviews that day. That's all I need.
Oh, wow.
Dabo, how you feeling about the season? Cade, you guys are coming in with an act of aggression to start the season, considering it seems like you've been disappointed with the way last year ended. What's your mood starting off that Saturday night against Duke? Dabo, where you? Dabo!
Yeah,
Dabo, where are you going?
Dude, don't ruin your chance at interviewing them. I don't want you to miss out on that, because that one texter that we've had for like 3 years now
finally gets his wish.
Yeah, he finally gets it, and he can shut up.
Finally gets his wish. So anyway, we'll have those interviews for you on Friday. We interrupt this Gamecock segment to break you some Clemson news. All right. So we will have those interviews. You know what I'll probably do? I'll probably go live for those interviews and then we'll have the audio cut up for you the next day. I'll let y'all know how it works out.
What? Okay. All right. So it's not during something else.
Correct.
So there wouldn't be a problem.
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right.
Correct. All right. Let's get back to Shano, shall we? Let me run that clip again since I immediately came out of it talking not about the thing we talked about. Shane was asked what the focus of this year is for his football team.
It's a big thing with us, and a big message is no complacency. We can't assume that because things went well for us last season, because we won 8 games and accomplished a lot of firsts, that it's just automatically going to go that way again because we've got returning players. We've got 38 new guys on our football team, and I know in today's college football rosters turnover more than they ever have. But 38 is a really, really high number when you talk about incoming freshmen and transfers. So we have gone from 2 wins to 7 wins to 8 wins, but it's going to take that much more in every area. Our challenge has been to be better in every single area of our program, every department than we were in 2022.
We got Dino Babers coming on next week too. That's pretty cool.
No. I just, there's this one thing that a lot of people do that really bugs me. And I don't know if it's just as a producer or as a person, but.
Oh.
And
that's a producer.
A lot of people do it not only on this station, but the other you don't do it, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been in this game a long time.
But some other prominent people do, and it just it's like chomping at the table while you're eating. It's the same. So it's the reason why I had to eat in the living room growing up.
I wish y'all could have seen Zoe's face.
It's like, do I have to play that? Yeah, because I have to play that again.
All right. So Shano says that the focus for this year's team is to go in and out of the season with no complacency. That's the focus. No complacency from this football team. And I mean, yeah. Obviously, and I'm not banging on Shane for saying the things that are obvious. Obvious things are obvious because that's kind of how this whole thing works. But not being complacent is like, yeah.
Why would you be complacent? I mean, that's not, the end of the season was pretty good, but leading up to that was not so much. So if you're complacent from that, that's not a good place to be.
I got to think by default, this team should not need a heck of a lot of kicks in the pants for motivation, right? Like after what happened at the end of last year, and I'm talking about the demo job where the wheels came off against Florida, the L to Mizzou, but then turn it around and dump in the week after you scored 0 points to then go and put 63 on Tennessee, and then go into Clemson's house and snipe them 31-30, I got to assume this team doesn't need much in the way of motivation. But we'll see. Here is one thing that does worry me, though. I'm going to go to clip 1A here. We've been talking about what some of the weaknesses might be. What some of the things that might hamper the growth, right? Look, I'm looking for an 8-4 regular season out of South Carolina this year. I think 9-3 is quite possible. I think 10-2 is the absolute roof. That's the best that this team can be is 10-2, but I'd be happy with 8-4 provided I see growth. But there's going to be one thing that holds South Carolina back a little bit, I think, and it's this.
We're going to be a young football team. We expect to play true freshmen at every single position this upcoming season. So we've got to grow up and continue to get better in a hurry.
Playing true freshmen at every single position. Every single. Now, I don't think of that. I believe that. All right. I think that might be just a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for here? Exaggeration. By Shano, I don't think you're running a true freshman out at every single position. I know you're not at punter. You got maybe the best punter in the country this year.
QB.
You're certainly not at QB. You're not at running back. Well, you might. Harbor's going to get some time, so I take that one back. There's a few spots you will. But no, I don't think you're running out of. That being said, you are going to be running out a lot of young guys. A lot of young guys, a lot of second-year guys. And again, where is the crossover from too much inexperience to not enough experience.
Which would you rather have? Would you rather play a bunch of freshmen or play a bunch of Muschamp guys?
Oh, I want the young guys.
Right.
I want the young guys.
I mean, that's
But
just, you're going to get a motivated young guy out there playing his heart out, as opposed to what Muschamp did to those kids, which made them unmotivated. Look, he's got the ball. Maybe I should run and try to catch him. I don't know. Maybe
motivation is here's a brief glimpse into the real world. Motivation is fine. Does not mean you have the talent. Does not mean you have the experience. Does not mean that you have the knowledge, right? Rob Brown was the most motivated high school basketball player you've ever seen. I was the hardest worker on the team. I was first guy at practice, last guy out of practice every single day. I spent more time on that floor than anybody on my team. Turns out I didn't get a basketball scholarship. You know why? Because I sucked. Motivated as hell. Terrible. Now, it's not to say the guys putting on a helmet that are young for the Gamecocks are going to suck. They're not. They wouldn't be there if they weren't good football players. What I'm saying is motivation means very little in the grand scheme of things. Motivation with talent, that's how you succeed, right? A guy that has talent and zero motivation will fail. A guy that has no talent and all the motivation will also fail. So the key is, how do you take the systems that have worked for Shane the last couple of years with a belief that, or at least a narrative Shane's created, that they're going to be playing true freshmen at every single position, and turn that into a team? Because, again, this isn't year one Shane. This isn't year two Shane. You were at the point where that excuse of Muschamps guys doesn't work anymore. The majority of guys on the roster are your dudes now.
There's probably still a couple on there.
I'm not saying there's not,
yeah.
but if there's a guy that's still on this roster from the Muschamp era, it's because he wants to be there. It's because he wants to be a Shane guy. So that narrative doesn't work like it used to. That's why this Dion versus Brent Venables thing is so interesting to me. Because on one hand, Venables has got a point. It does kind of feel messed up to take over a program and run 70 guys out of it when half the football narrative is, man, college players ain't loyal no more. But this is okay. On the flip side, that is a natural consequence of the players earning the portal as something that they can do. Yes, you can use the portal to go somewhere you want to be. And coaches can pressure you into the portal if they don't want you there too, right? So that's kind of interesting. We talked about the focus, the mindset, the mentality. I'm going to go clip 1B. Shane was asked, as a football coach, what's one thing you're really hammering down on this team? What's one thing you really want to see the team improve on, get better at, and work on getting better at? And he said this.
As I mentioned, some great things last season, a lot of firsts, but a lot of things that we have to be better at. You guys that follow us regularly know that I've said this. It's 2 years in a row. Our offense has been last in the SEC at turning the ball over. Nobody in this league has fumbled and thrown more interceptions than we have in the last 2 seasons. So that's got to improve. That starts with me as the head football coach. And then obviously we've got to be better at running the football and stopping the run as well.
Yeah. If you are the number one turner over of the football in a conference, you're not going to win that conference. You're just not, right? I don't remember exactly what the number is, but a couple of years ago, somebody went and they did the math on how many net points a turnover relates to. Right? Like if you turn the ball over, it's the same as giving away X amount of points to the other team. And they basically looked at every turnover in football. And then they said, all right, all of these touchdowns and field goals were direct results of this turnover. And if we average all those together, and it was something like a turnover's worth like 4.2 points or something like that. So if you get a turnover, you have like a 4.2 point advantage, right? So if you are the number one team in turnovers in a conference, you are also giving away more free points than anybody else in football or anybody else in that conference, I guess I could say. Anybody else in that conference, you are giving more free points away. That can't happen. And again, I have said a number of times, and I believe this to be true. This is not Shane Beamer's prove it year. Next year is, right? This is not the year that Shane has to say, okay, look, we are moving towards being a contender. Listen, there's a lot of schools that you can go to and perform like Shane has performed so far, and they'll be thrilled with the results, right? Thrilled with it. You can go to a school like Duke, Syracuse, Vanderbilt, and if you get the results that Shane Beamer has right now, they're going to be thrilled. You're going to be a legend. You're going to be a Hall of Famer at their school. South Carolina fans, justified or not, have higher aspirations. They have, tell me South Carolina doesn't have aspirations of, well, I'd say winning the East, but obviously that doesn't matter after this year. But tell me starting next year, South Carolina isn't going to say, we want to step up and be in that realm with Tennessee, right? That realm that, like, you're one step below Georgia, you're one step below Alabama. Don't take that as a slight, South Carolina. You know what other college football programs are a step behind Georgia and Alabama? All of them with the exception of Ohio State and maybe Michigan, right? Is that the big four in football right now? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. That's the big four, right? Respectfully to Clemson, you are in that next group, I think, at this point.
I don't want to agree with it, but yes, I'll agree with it.
Okay.
There's a team in there I don't want to agree with. But,
Sure.
But seeing as how someone hasn't beat them the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That will put them up there.
Ryan Day, you jerk.
Hot seat.
So, Tennessee's in that next group. And they obviously, South Carolina wants to be in that group because I think they're in the group below that, right? South Carolina's in the group currently with, like, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Ole Miss. Teams that are good, but they're not like a step away. They're a couple of steps away, right? South Carolina fans are ready to move up from that group into the next one, into that Tennessee group, into that group of teams that's like right there on the edge of joining Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia. This is not Shane's year to prove he can bring them there. Next year is. But I can promise you, if South Carolina leads the conference in turnovers, they won't be there. They won't. All right, when we come back, I got a few more clips for you. He was asked about Dow Loggins, a question he obviously already answered right here on the Rob Brown Show. But we'll give you the updated answer. And coming up later in the show, I've got some sound from Spencer Rattler for you as well. We'll play. So we'll do some more South Carolina Media Day later on in the show. Don't get your panties in a twist there, Clemson fans, because next Thursday, we will be at ACC Media Days, and we will have live sound for you from Dabo Sweeney, Cade Klubnik, and others. You'll get your time in the sun, too. Relax. Take a deep breath. We're back after this to wrap up hour one of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Were we supposed to have a live in the last break that I forgot about? I thought you told me at the beginning of the show we have one, but I could be wrong.
I don't see one.
Okay.
But no.
I might just be losing.
Maybe I did say that, but there's a recorded in there. I don't see a live.
Okay.
Number 17. Atlanta has a 10.5 game lead atop the NL East over the Phillies and the Marlins. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladin sports all year long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Growing a business brings pressure. Staying compliant and retaining top talent in challenging times. You feel stretched thin. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put over 35 years of HR service and technology to work.
I will chastise him when he comes back, James, and tell him that he should say when he's leaving and where he's going. It's extremely important. By the way, back in the day when we used to have answering machines, my most listened to message was me imitating the Crocodile Hunter. Just saying. People would call back a second and third time just to listen to the message. So I'm well aware of who he is. And I apologize for forgetting it was Hunter, Crocodile Hunter, because when I think Hunter, I think something totally different now. But you can go back and look at the flare in the eyes of Rob. So, I mean, it's like scary in here right now. I'm going to go after the show and rally all the old people I know to go in and vote for Marlon Perkins or Jack Anna. I'm going to rally them all. It's hard to rally them, but rally them I shall.
Hey, I got to mute us for 1 second to ask Lonzo a question. I'll be right back.
Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, including JD is saying that Diesel threatened to punch him yesterday and until he sees stars. You don't want none of that. I doubt you did anything, JD, to warrant being punched.
I mean, Diesel doesn't hand out threats lightly.
Well, I mean, he has a very successful show on 93.3 The Planet Rocks. So you have to lead a certain lifestyle and convey a certain, persona to do that. So I'm sure deep down he's genteel. He's not that, that guy. So
all right, let's get a little bit more of this audio in before we take a break. Let's talk about 1E. As long as when Shane got hired, the big discussion obviously was, he's never even been a coordinator. Never been a coordinator. How can he be a head coach that have been a coordinator? And I'm not going to lie, I hammered on that drum too. I have actually never heard, and I'm not saying he hasn't, I have not heard Shane Beamer address that criticism before, right? Never heard him address that criticism. Yesterday he did. This is going to be clip 1E. Shane Beamer was asked, what do you think has been the most successful way that you have battled being a head coach while never having been an offensive or defensive coordinator? And he said this.
Certainly respect the question, but people talk about, well, you haven't been a coordinator. Being a special teams coordinator is being a coordinator. And everybody talks about, well, that guy's not been an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Being a special teams coordinator prepared me better to be a head football coach than if I had been on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. And I say that because when you're the special teams coordinator, you're the only coach other than the head coach that stands in front of the whole team and talks to the team, because coaching special teams takes the entire roster. So you've got to have a relationship with every player on the team. You got to be able to motivate guys to play special teams. You got to be able to be detailed and organized, because you might get 20 minutes in practice. So you got to be efficient at what you're doing in that time. So my time as a special teams coach really prepared me. And then the fact that all along I was coaching offense and defense. So I told Ray Tanner and Chance Miller when I interviewed for this job that, no, I haven't been an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, but I wouldn't have changed my career path for anything because of how it did prepare me to be a head football coach as well. And I like to think that I'm somewhat knowledgeable on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball as well, but it was a great experience for me and really beneficial.
I was a special teams coordinator. I was the only person beside the head coach on the coaching staff that had to address the entire team, which factually is true, is correct. He said, it taught me how to build relationships on both sides of the football. I'm going to say this. It is one of those things that I hear and I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, that's true. But still leaves a little something to be desired, right? Well, how did you deal with driving when all you've ever done is drive on Xbox? Like, yeah, I mean, I guess it familiarizes you with the role, but it's not the same.
It always bothers me. You're never something till you are. You've never done something till you do. I mean, everyone has to do something for the first time. I think it's kind of nitpicky. He's either going to be good at the job or he's not. But you know what? We're never going to know until he actually does the job.
So I agree, but that is why if you're a first-time radio producer, you're not going straight to the Rome show, right? Like you're not. You're starting on an overnight somewhere in a small market, and you grow yourself through the job. And Shane didn't take the traditional route. Here's what I will say. Why are you asking that dude that question after he's been here for multiple years now, right? Like, that's a question I think it's fair to ask when they introduce Shane as the head coach.
He's also a legacy. And he spent a lot of time with his dad, who's a very famous coach, around for a very long time. I mean, it's not like he suddenly decided, you know what, football. I think I'll do football.
And then finally, I'll save it. You know what? It's a short one. Let me get clip 1I. Spence is back. A lot of questions as to why. I've already told you what I think the answer is, but Shane got asked, why did you bring Spencer Rattler to Oklahoma, or from Oklahoma here? And why do you think that it was justified in keeping him around? And he said this.
Forget about what he did on the field. I knew what kind of person Spencer is. It wasn't like I was bringing in a guy to play quarterback that I didn't know. I spent 2 years with him at Oklahoma, a little bit longer if you count the recruiting process as well. He was committed when I got there, but I was with him in those 2 seasons. So I knew what kind of person he was. You guys will remember this because you covered Oklahoma, but he had dealt with adversity before at Oklahoma. One, like all of a sudden this year or last season, we had some tough losses, and that was the first time he went through stuff, or that 2021 was the first time he went through stuff. You guys will remember his first 2 games as a starting quarterback in the Big 12 at Oklahoma. We lost to Kansas State and Iowa State. You're not supposed to lose 2 conference games at Oklahoma. That doesn't happen. Not to mention 2 games to start the season when you're replacing Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts as the quarterback. So seeing Spencer handle that adversity, see him get benched in the Texas game in 2021, but then come back in the second half and lead us to a 4 overtime win, I believe, told me everything I needed to know about Spencer as far as a competitor, leader kind of person he was. So he's made us better on and off the field. And I saw enough, forget about his talent level on the field, because that speaks for itself. The way he handled himself off the field during my 2 seasons there was really good for me to see. Not to mention his first year there was just.
Oh, well, I blew the end of that. But what do you want? There you go. I mean, that dude took a lot of heat, a lot of criticism, both when he got brought there and through a handful of games last year. And Shane said, look, He's handled it. He's handled his business. He's handled it well. Let's take a break. We'll come back next hour of the show. We'll get some sound from Spence. We're also going to talk a little Women's World Cup as Team USA gets their campaign started up this evening. And Vegas has put out the over-under on win spread for the Carolina Panthers. Are we hammering the over or not, kids? We'll talk about that and more in the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Why not? It's a short clip. It's also the longest clip.
Yeah, I thought. I was thinking it was a different one than the one it was. My bad.
Like, what?
My bad.
If you were looking at the sound clips as fingers, that would be the middle one. That's how much longer it is than all the other ones.
Zoe saying I just gave him the middle finger.
It's the old one more thing, or let's take a quick call, which never
It's
works.
never a quick call.
Yeah, at the end of it, no, it's not going to be a quick call. So how's your Alonzo against America poll doing?
Let's go see. Let's go find out. I'm busy reading a thread where people are complaining that recipes turned out terrible and admitting that they did something stupid in the recipe.
Is this a thread on Threads or is just are you on Twitter?
It's early with 26 votes. But currently, Steve Irwin has a commanding 61.5% of the votes.
Are you surprised?
No, because that's
no.
the right answer.
I'm talking about the percentage. Are you surprised by the percentage? Does it have you a little bit worried?
Yes, I'm surprised that it's not higher,
Right. That's what I meant.
but it will be.
Because you came in with, oh, this is going to be, and
Jack Hanna is second, as I predicted he would be. Richard Attenborough is third.
even
No,
though-
I'm sorry. Marlon Perkins is ahead of Richard Attenborough right now. That does shock me a little bit.
because someone said it's not Richard, it's actually David Attenborough, and I don't know which one it is. Someone responded.
You are correct, and that is correct. I blew that.
So if Richard wins,
You know what? I was going to update the poll, but I'll leave it up with my mistake.
one's an actor, right? I think. Wasn't one in Jurassic Park? Isn't that guy?
I believe that is correct.
Isn't that guy? Yeah, he knew a lot
That is
about.
correct.
He knew a lot about animals. Spared no expense.
You look like you like cupcake, Mark. For the last time, it's the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yes, the All Cupcakes Conference. The Atlantic Coast Conference, and they're hosting their media days in Charlotte, which the Rob Brown Show will be broadcasting from live on Tuesday, July 25th through Thursday, July 27th. And I'll be there for Clemson. The Rob Brown Show and Offsides with Mark Ryan live from AC.
It's so funny every time.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and only right here on the Fan Upstate.
I think you could jump right in, Trey. I mean, if you have an idea of what it's about spies, there are some character references from earlier movies, but I think you can see it without it.
What a coincidence that this promo came up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I had nothing to do with it, by the way. Not that I don't have the power to make that happen. I just didn't do anything.
Oh yeah, that's a good name for a kid's show. Come on, Rob.
What's Mr. Rogers' middle name? His middle name was
Hey, you know, we're going from Mr. McFeely to Deshaun Watson. What a transition. I don't know. Let's talk about happy endings.
Gonna have to kill that soon, but
Nope.
yeah,
That's an all-time great.
yeah, but it's not really up to you.
It's an all-time great.
You know what? It's not really up to me either. That's
Who has complained about that? No
Um,
one.
it's not a matter of complaint. It's about freshness. and I have gotten a talking to about freshness. Gables in the first break. The other
There
thing
he
that you were
is.
talking about, I don't think is ever on Friday. The other spot, I don't think it's ever on Friday. Just saying.
Our numerados to the Rob Brown Show goes now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Glad to have you along for the ride. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is on the other side of the metaphorical glass. Check out our Twitter page, twitter.com/thefanupstate. That is where you can vote in today's live poll. Who's the best TV animal dude? Was it Jack Hanna, Marlon Perkins, Steve Irwin, or the star of Jurassic Park, Richard Attenborough, who my DA tweeted out instead of the guy I wanted to, which is David Attenborough, but I was so consumed
Just
with
angry, man.
rage and
Just
anger
angry.
that I substituted one of the stars of Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park in place of the guy who has made banger after banger after banger after banger of wildlife and nature documentaries, Sir David Attenborough, who is a notably and noticeably different person entirely.
I don't know. I haven't seen them side by side that I recall. Maybe I did early on.
Are they brothers?
I don't know. I mean, you can look it up. I mean, it's very possible. By the way, I love that Jack Hanna is gaining, and it's concerning for Rob. We've got an entire weekend.
They are brothers.
Okay, cool.
How did I?
Yeah, but one is a knight and the other one is not.
David
How do you
Frederick
think that goes?
Attenborough was born in 1926 in Isleworth, Middlesex, England, and grew up in College House on the campus of the University of Leicester, where his father, Frederick, was principal. He is the middle of three sons. His elder brother, Richard, became an actor and director, as his younger brother, John, was an executive at Italian car manufacturer Alfa Romeo. Well, there you go. During the Second World War, through a British volunteer network known as the Refugee Children's Music Movement, his parents also fostered two Jewish refugee girls from Germany. How about that?
So I'm curious, if your brother were to be knighted, how would that go for you?
How would it go?
I mean, how would you handle that?
I would, on one hand, be very, very proud of him, as I am for becoming who he's become. On the other hand, I'd be furious.
So I wonder if there's that sort of thing going there.
Because every time he'd be like, that is, sir, my younger brother to you.
Although he could throw it back, yeah, but I'll live forever because that movie will never die.
No, yeah, Richard Attenborough goes down. Well, David Attenborough, dude, if you haven't watched Attenborough's docs, man, they're incredible. They're incredible. Every one of them.
I prefer Marlon Perkins.
I mean, again, it's America. You're allowed to be wrong. That's fine.
And Marlon never went out on his safaris. He sent the other guy out. I think the guy's name was Jack or something. He would get mauled and he would narrate it the whole time it was happening. There was Saturday Night Live skits on it and stuff, and it was great.
He's still coming in last in that poll. Coming in last.
Maybe.
Calling that shot now.
But I will say that it's not 100% vote for Steve. So, and I believe that at the time when you wrote that angrily, you thought for sure that the numbers would skew so much in your favor.
I mean, he does have 62+%.
No, last I checked, it was 61. So,
sorry. I just checked that it's jumped up to now over 63%.
Wow. It may have something to do with us talking about it, possibly.
Twitter.com/thefanupstate. Go to the graph and put the vote up. Jack Hanna, Marlon Perkins, Steve Irwin, or legendary actor Richard Attenborough. Definitely not his brother, nature TV bro David Attenborough.
Should put Crocodile Dundee in there also. There's something we can't agree on. We can absolutely agree on. Our love of wrestling and the fact that we have some tickets to give away. So stay tuned. we have 2 tickets to AEW Collision, which will be here next month.
Saturday, August 5th, AEW Collision taking place at the Bon Score Wellness Arena. If you would like to go, stay tuned. Because Lonzo and I have a pair of tickets that we're going to give away. And I'm not saying it's the last pair of tickets, but it is the last pair of tickets this week. So stay tuned. We'll give those away for you later on in the show. At some point, we'll let you know when we decide to do that.
You know, I know we're going to get to sports.
We are.
But because I want Ray to be angry, I just want to say, how cool is this show? Look at the stuff that we've talked about today, including sports. I mean, it's just amazing. You're not going to get this anywhere else. That's why we win awards, people.
Keegan said, does David count as an animal guy if he just reads the script about the animals? No, he makes those documentaries. And on top of that, the fact that he's made 1,000 of them and they're all equally as good as the last.
Keegan,
Blue Planet is one of the best things I've ever watched on TV.
Don't go against one of Rob's guys. If you want to go against one of my guys, go ahead. You're not going to get that much coming back at you, but you're going up against one of Rob's guys. You don't want to do that.
I mean, when Rob's got a guy, that guy's the guy.
I mean, he's a made man, if you will.
Carolina Panthers betting lines are starting to drop for the season, ladies and gentlemen. Do want to also remind you while we're at it that next Saturday, the 29th of July, we will be live at Carolina Panther training camp over on the beautiful campus of Wofford in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We'll be live from 9 to 11 in the AM next Saturday. And I do want to tell you that we have started lining up some of our interviews so far for that day. Mark Ryan and I will have a couple of live interviews, including Mike Rucker, who was on the 03 Super Bowl team, and a dude that I am very, very excited to talk to that Saturday. How about Ricky Prohl coming on the show, Zoe? One of the best, man.
You see if Ricky will race Mark Ryan.
I will pay him.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, if you guys are where I think you're going to be, there's not that much space. But
Ricky Prohl is 55 years old.
Right. So he's a little bit older than me.
He's only a little bit older than Mark.
That's true. That's true. So it should be fair. It's not like a youngin going up against. I just, all in good fun. I'm sure Mark's going to go for that, right? Because he loves competition. He'd be all for that. A race with Ricky Prohl. And he could say that he just raced Ricky Prohl. He could do that.
I would pull a hammy and die.
And he can't blame shoes. That. I mean, we've seen Rich Eisen run the 40. So, I mean, in his dress shoes. So he could absolutely do it.
Ricky spent 3 seasons with the Panthers in 03, 04, and 05 that year. Played all 16 games across all 3 seasons.
Also, maybe Rucker and Mark Ryan could arm wrestle. Maybe that's something else you could set up.
I think I'd rather see that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I'd rather see
that. Might be more Mark's speed, so to speak. So let's do that. I'm sure he'd be up for it because he loves competing against people, especially people who are older than him. He really enjoys doing that. So I think he thinks it gives him an advantage or something. So yeah, an arm wrestling with Rucker. Why not?
And he's feeling himself a little bit right now. He might go for it.
After the Papa shot,
back-to-back things, he might be feeling it a little bit right now. All right. We are taking a look ahead to the Panthers of 2023 as we get set for training camp. Starts up this week. We'll be there next Saturday live. And Vegas has started to put out some numbers. Now, this is an NFC South last year that was won by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they cleared all of the other teams in the division by a single game.
They won accidentally. They didn't really want to win.
Like, I kind of want to say that that's wrong, but I can't.
It's like, oh, man, did we just win?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Tampa Bay was 8-9. Carolina was 7-10. New Orleans was 7-10. Atlanta was 7-10. Now, there's a couple of different narratives you can pluck out of that. If you're the Atlanta Falcons, you're very excited about that. Why? Because you went 7-10 with the Marcus Mariota discussion going on, where he was benched and then left.
But if you remember at the beginning of the season, and if you watch that documentary, it also talks about it too. He did okay at the beginning to the point where you a couple times said you
Yeah.
owed him an apology.
Yep.
Because he looked pretty good.
Yep.
And then the wheels fell off.
Yep. 7-10 went the Falcons with that. They're going to be better with the run game this year. That they are going back to Desmond Ridder, who could not beat out Marcus Mariota for the starting job until, as Alonso pointed out, the wheels came off. The Saints were 7-10 last year. As a Saints fan, I can go back and point to about 4 different games where one mistake cost us a 3-point or a 4-point game. But you are what your record says you are. There were 7-10, and then there's the Carolina Panthers,
So you could say the same thing about, for sure.
100%. So the difference between all three teams is where they're going with quarterback this year. Atlanta is going back to Desmond Ridder. Why? Because honestly, I don't think there was an avenue for them to make a quarterback change, or I think they would have. But they do get Bijan Robinson, the number 1 draft pick at the running back position. They're pairing him with Justin Allgaier and Cordarrelle Patterson. They are going to have, I think, potentially the best running back stable in the National Football League. Just don't know if they're going to be able to throw the ball. The Saints obviously going with future first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr as their starting quarterback. They have decided to go with the vet, a vet who had an unceremonious ending with the Oakland Scratch Las Vegas Raiders last year. But you look at that Raiders program. This is a Raiders program that is projected to be amongst the NFL's worst. This year, it was a Raiders program with the retread head coach that nobody seems to think is the guy. They brought in Devontae to be their guy. Now, Devontae wants right back out of Las Vegas because of how poorly everything is going. So, Saints fans have a bit of optimism that the struggles last year of Derek Carr were less about Derek Carr and more about where the Vegas Raiders are. So they go with the seasoned vet, first-year Hall of Famer, Derek Carr. And then, of course, there's Carolina. Carolina brings in the number 1 overall draft pick after a massive trade with the Chicago Bears. They go out and they grab Bryce Young, the Heisman winner, out of the University of Alabama. Bryce Young shows up. He comes into OTAs. He is the projected second-string quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And then Frank Reich does the unexpected and names him the starter before OTAs conclude.
Not unexpected. You and I had a conversation, and I said he would be starter, and you said he would not. I'm not the guy that does that points out when he's right and someone else is wrong. So I would never do such a thing. But I, said that was going to happen, and it did. It might be the only time I'm right all year, but
you nailed that one.
But I was right on this one.
Nailed that. Was stuck the landing on that one. It was, to me, very unexpected. But at the same time, it being unexpected, I also went, this is good. This is good, right? I don't think Frank Reich takes the risk of blowing up BY's head by naming him QB1 before OTAs are even over if he didn't get a pretty clear indication that BY picked up the playbook and picked it up quick.
By the way, real quick, Bryce, if you're rolling into town right now, I want you to know that I've always had your back. I am your guy. Because they report tomorrow, the rookies do, so I'm guessing he will be amongst those. So he could be rolling in Spartanburg right now. Could be.
We'll find out. Hopefully we'll get BY on the show. We'll see. We'll see what practice schedule looks like Saturday, the 29th of July, when we are broadcasting live from training camp. So you got four different teams. One that won the division by half a game or one game with the 8-9 Buccaneers. But it's not exactly like the Buccaneers are in a great spot. They got Bake Show coming in town. Baker's taking over. And I'm in a weird spot because on one hand, I do believe that Baker Mayfield has the talent necessary to be a productive, not legendary, not great, but a productive, a playoff caliber NFL quarterback. And I think that Baker Mayfield has really been a victim of circumstance of his career so far. He showed up in Cleveland. He showed a lot of flash for the Cleveland Browns, but then the Cleveland Browns went full Cleveland Browns and imploded, as they have done for their whole existence so far. Baker gets sent to the Carolina Panthers, where he plays for he who shall not be named. Matt Rule, since we're going to name him. Matt Rule was, and I think we can look back at this with the hindsight being 2020.
He wasn't the only coach that he played for. Everyone just kind of glosses the other part off. But okay.
The other part being
the other coach.
Right. The other coach being the defensive backs coach who became the head coach.
Do you remember his name? See?
Yes, and I'm
See,
at it.
neither do I.
You put me on the spot.
No, that's my point. That is my point.
I can't believe you just did this.
And
to me
we
on the air.
and we
Steve Wilkes.
talked about him extensively.
Yeah.
It's not doing a thing to you.
But you got to keep in mind, I'm just an idiot.
No. It proves my point. He had two coaches that were. You remember Rule because of how bad he was. Wilkes was not any better. Okay, so it's a good place to be in if you're the Panthers, starting out with an experienced coach, a coach that has won where he's been. Still don't understand why the Colts let him go, other than the owner is very strange.
Correct.
I just.
So my thought here is
I'm not going to apologize for that because I proved the point.
Matt Rule was bad at his job.
So was Wilkes.
Steve Wilkes was not bad at his job. Steve Wilkes got thrown into turmoil, but we don't need to light that conversation up again. It's over. Steve Wilkes isn't the coach.
Yeah, we fought a lot about that.
We did.
We did.
Bake's show went from bad Matt Rule, who was bad and bad at his job, to Steve Wilkes,
who said, well, we're going to go with this quarterback this week. Well, we're going to go with this quarterback this week. Well, we're going to go with this quarterback this week. So Baker, chances are he's not going to get benched like that.
So I think that's the direction I'm going. I still count that as Baker Mayfield being a victim of circumstance. Now, there were some bad throws. At the end of the day, if the system's bad, but if you can't hit an open wide receiver, it's still kind of on you. And Bake now goes to Tampa Bay, a Tampa Bay team that does have maybe the best wide receiving core in football, right? Run game's going to be a question mark a bit, I think, for Tampa Bay this year. And a defensively minded head coach, very similar to Steve Wilkes. I don't think Baker's going to be that guy that Tampa hopes he is either. So on one hand, this division is very winnable. And I frankly think it's winnable, Lonzo, for two teams, Carolina and New Orleans. And I don't think that's me being an optimistic New Orleans fan. New Orleans had a top 10 defense in the league last year. New Orleans has an offense that, if you are willing to believe it, has a quarterback that was also a victim of circumstance because he had a real good run in Vegas before it imploded, much like it did around Baker in Cleveland. So this fight comes down to, I think, Carolina and BY and Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. The over-under numbers are out for this division. Odds to make the playoffs for the Carolina Panthers are tied for 21st on the league at plus 175. Odds to make the Super Bowl this year, they are plus 7,000. They are 70-1 long shots to make the Super Bowl T24. And I got no problem with that. There are still a lot of questions, as Rashad and myself and Lonzo have pointed out over and over. Still a lot of questions to be answered for Carolina before I'm ready to say that that's a dark horse I'm backing. 2023 win total for the Carolina Panthers in Las Vegas right now, Lonzo, is 7.5. They are setting it at 7.5 as it stands. Here's the schedule against the spread. These are the numbers we have right now. Week 1, Panthers at Falcons. The Panthers are 3-point favorites. Scratch that. The Falcons are 3-point favorites in that one.
Wow.
Yeah. That surprises me a little.
Is this a quarterback thing? So is it?
No,
So they're
I'll
saying
tell you,
Ritter is more.
No, this is at Falcons.
Okay. All right.
That's what it is. It's a field goal for being at home. Otherwise, they say these two teams are on level footing. And frankly, I don't have an issue with that. Because we don't know how good Bijan Robinson's going to be. And as much as we all want to believe he is the dude, we don't know what BY looks like in a full-speed NFL scenario yet. We ain't seen it. We're a long way from seeing it. This is the Falcons catching 3 for being at the house. Week 2, Saints at Panthers. The Panthers are 1-point favorites today. You can get them as a 1-point favorite at home over New Orleans. And again, keep in mind, 3 points for being the home team. Vegas believes the Saints are 2 points better than Carolina. And that checks out, right? That checks out. Except when the Falcons are getting a full 3 at home and New Orleans is catching a 2-point swing for being, Carolina's catching a 2-point swing for being there. How are the Falcons 3-point favorites at home and the Panthers are 1-point favorite over the Saints? That tells you what Vegas thinks the predicted order of finish here is. They think it's New Orleans 1, Atlanta and Carolina level with each other to tie for 2 or to be in the mix for 2. Seahawks are -4.5 at home over the Panthers, so they think they're 1.5 better. The Vikings are -1 on the road at Carolina. I'm actually hammering Vikings -1 in that game. It's never the Vikings in the regular season that you bet against to make money. It's the Vikings in the playoffs. Panthers at Lions. The Lions at home are -6. Panthers at Dolphins. The Dolphins at home are -6.5. The bye is week 7. Texans at Panthers, 3.5-point favorites over the Houston Texans. Lonzo, I am hammering Panthers -3.5 at home over Houston. And it's got nothing to do with CJ Stroud or DeMeco Ryans, because I think he's got it in him to be a coach that really gets players to line up. It's just that roster is atrocious. It's atrocious. Colts at Panthers. I like this one. Panthers -2.5-point favorites at home. So they think it's level between them and Indianapolis. Panthers at Bears. How about only being a 2.5-point dog on the road at Chicago? I don't hate that. A lot of people are buying all in on the Bears right now. Cowboys at Panthers, -3.5 are Dallas. That's some respect there. Again, a lot of people think this is the year Dallas breaks out every year. But Vegas is buying into Dallas this year. And they're only giving them, they're giving the Panthers 3.5 points at home. I don't hate that. Here's one that I got a question mark. Panthers at Titans. The Titans are -1, which means they think the Panthers are 2-point better. How we feel about Tennessee? You do have a brand new wide receiver in the mix there. DeAndre is a Titan. You got King Henry coming out of the backfield, and Ryan Tannehill, when he's got support, is pretty good. You're catching a point at Tennessee in Nashville.
I am concerned about the motivation of running backs across the league. And are they going to run as hard as they normally would?
Yeah, we got to get it. We still haven't gotten into that. The great running back tweet fiasco of 2023. We'll circle back around to that in a little while. Let's see. Panthers at Buccaneers. The Bucs are 1-point favorites at home. I'm hammering Tampa. Tampa might win 5 games this year. I really don't think they're going to be that good. They might win 5 games. And again, I think Baker's going to take the fall. I think Tampa's just not run well without Bruce Arians at the helm. Panthers at Saints week 14. The Saints are 3-point favorites today. And of course, these lines are gonna change, but it's good to bet on these games now. Get the lines where you can get them now. Falcons at Panthers. Panthers are -1.5 at the house. Packers are 1-point favorites when they come down to Charlotte. Panthers at Jags. Trevor Lawrence is catching -5 at home against Carolina. And then there is no line being issued right now on Bucs at Panthers. The over-under win total, Lonzo, is set at 7.5. 7.5. So another year where the Cats get to 8-9, good enough to win the division last year, good enough to win the over this year. Are we banking on that?
I think they're going to win more games than that.
You think they get can they get to being a plus number on the win side? Can they get to 9, which would guarantee you a winning record?
I would think at least 9. Yeah, I got to go with that. And the thing is, Vegas is, they're not saying they're going to get blown out by anybody, right? Out of all those lines that you went down through,
I think the
majority of what is like 1 to 4. What's
the biggest spread is they're -4.5 against Seattle, -6.5 on the road at Miami. They are -5 on the road at Jacksonville. Everything else is 3.5 or less. Oh, sorry, -6 at the Lions. That's the biggest spread.
So in the division, it's a coin toss.
In the division, every divisional game, the biggest divisional spread is Falcons -3 in week 1 is, that's it. Everything else is -2.5 or less. So it's a toss-up division. Vegas now agrees. Let's take a break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Gables.
All right, guys, got a live read. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org. Hey, Rob, you look like you like cupcakes. Mark, for the last time, it's the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yes, the All Cupcakes Cup. The Atlantic Coast Conference, and they're hosting their media days in Charlotte, which the Rob Brown Show will be broadcasting from live on Tuesday, July 25th through Thursday, July 27th. And I'll be there for Clemson. The Rob Brown Show and Offsides with Mark Ryan live.
Gets me every time.
The media days this Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And only right here on the Fan Upstate. More than the scores. Real sports talk.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. All right. We gave you the over-under on the win total for the Panthers. Let's, what the hell? Let's go week by week. Why not, right? Week 1, Panthers and Falcons. Give me the Cats on the road. I'm not saying Bijan Robinson isn't going to be a breakout star in the NFL. I think he can be. I think he can do more in year 1 than Saquon Barkley did in year 1. Because I think Saquon Barkley's all power. I think Bijan's more elusive. He's got a lot of speed, but he can also catch passes out of the backfield like what? So I'm going to take the Cats on the road, though, because I do think it will take time for that chemistry to develop. And I cannot understate how I respect to making it to the show, but I just have negative faith in Desmond Ridder. I'll take Cats on the road in week 1.
It's hard for you to go with Atlanta as far as the Falcons goes for anything. So I'm not surprised. But I'm going with the Panthers also.
Yeah. I think that's the pick, and I might even hammer.
We're going to find out if Bryce Young is what they're saying, and there's a reason why he was named a starter. I got to believe in the coaching staff and all the things that they're going to do. The team was not that bad last year.
Saints at Panthers week 2. This is a Monday Night Football game. I find this one very intriguing. It's Derek Carr versus Bryce Young. This is a pick that no matter who I pick, you guys are going to hammer down on me. So whatever. I think Carolina's offense is going to be good, but just like Atlanta's, I do think it's going to take a couple of weeks to get rolling. New Orleans offense is established already. They have not had a coach rollover. They have not had an OC rollover. The only difference is Derek Carr. And if I've got to early in the year take a pick, I'm going to pick the quarterback who's been in the game, who's had some success, and is ingraining himself in an offense, not the other way around. I'm going to go Saints on the road at Carolina week 2. That brings the Panthers to 1-1.
All right. So the thing is, usually a rookie quarterback with that kind of spotlight on them, Monday Night Football, when you know everybody's watching, there's added pressure, but I don't think Bryce Young feels that because he played at Alabama. So he knows about that kind of pressure. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. I am curious about what Derek Carr are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy who got benched for the Raiders, or are we going to get the guy who played really good early on but just couldn't get past Kansas City? I'm going to go with the Panthers.
Okay. I've got him at 1-1. Zoe's got him at 2-0 to open the year. Panthers at Seahawks week 3. I'm taking Seattle in this one. I think Seattle is going to be probably a team that threatens 10 wins this year, maybe could get to 11. Gino really turned it around late last season. Give me the Seahawks. That brings Carolina 1-2 to start the year.
All right. Was it a fluke with Gino? I don't think it was. I think he just finally got his opportunity where he didn't have to look over his shoulder worried about someone taking his spot, and he proved that he could play. So I don't want to, but I'm going to go with Seattle in this also.
All right. So we're going to go to week 4, Vikings at Panthers. And this is where I think it starts to get interesting. Minnesota under Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson. That's a dynamic offense and a pretty decent defense. Listen, I want Carolina to win. I make money when they do, but put me down for a 1-3 start. Minnesota comes down to Charlotte and gets the win there.
All right. Having watched the quarterback documentary, I have a newfound respect for Kirk Cousins. So I'm not going to crack on him saying that he scammed everybody to get his money. He deserved what he got. He's a pretty steady quarterback, but the one thing that I don't know that they addressed, and you could see this many times in that documentary, is my dude was hit more than just about anybody in the entire league. And I like the direction that the Carolina defense is going in. So I'm going to say it's going to be a tight game, but I'm going to go with Carolina.
All right. So I've got them to start 1-3, Lonzo's got them starting 3-1. They go up to Detroit in week 5. Y'all, this Lions team's good. I tried to tell you that halfway through last year. This Lions team is good. It's not your daddy's Detroit Lions team. A 1-4 start for Carolina as they fall on the road at Detroit, Lonzo.
I'm going to say that you're right. I think Detroit wins this game.
All right, so I'm moving to 1-4 through week 5. Lonzo is starting them out at 3-2. Week 6, Panthers at Dolphins. I'm going to take the upset pick and go Carolina here. And the reason I'm going to pick the upset pick and go Carolina is A, I don't trust Tua, and B, what has been the weakness for Miami? Quarterbacks getting smoked, right? Tua getting smoked. That was the problem last year. It'll be a problem in this game. Give me second win right before the bye for Carolina. They go 2-4 with a win over Miami.
All right, my only concern here is who's the backup in Miami?
Miami just who did they bring as the backup quarterback?
Because I mean, we're not sure that Tua is all the way back with his problems. So whoever the backup is.
Oh, it's noted New York Jets backup Mike White. Yeah. Who, by the way, stepped in last year for Zach Wilson and performed respectfully.
Well, it wasn't that hard to do better than Zach did.
That's not fair.
I am going to go with the Panthers here, and for the same reason as the last game I said they would win, because of the defense.
All right, so I'm going 2-4. Lonzo going 4-2 through the opening 6 weeks of the season. Week 7's the bye. Week 8, Texans come to town, come to Charlotte. This one is going to move them closer to that 500 mark. Give me win number 3 over Houston. Look, I don't know if CJ Stroud's that guy or not. I think he's got the talent to do it. Does he have the headspace? We're going to find out. I like DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. This is not going to be on CJ and DeMeco. This is going to be on a program that has just failed to build a competent roster. Houston falls to Carolina. They move to 3-5.
All right. Admittedly, if you listen to this program or this station for since the beginning, then you know that I have 2 favorite NFL teams, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs and it's the Carolina Panthers. So it looks like that maybe I'm just being biased and going Carolina all the way, but I have picked them to lose some games. They're not going to lose this one, though.
I've got them now sitting at 3-5, Lonzo at 5-3. Let's go to week 9. Indianapolis is coming down to Charlotte as well. Give me the first set of back-to-back dubs for the Carolina Panthers as they accomplish win number 4 in week number 9. It brings them to 4-5.
I mean, if you're wanting people to watch the game, you hope that Richardson is playing, but that's still up in the air. It's a competition. He may not win that competition. I mean, I think we figured out it was Minshew, I believe, is the backup there. I got to go Carolina here. Indy might fix their problems, but it's probably not going to be this year.
So I'm going to hold them there at 4 wins. I believe that brings Lonzo to 6 wins through week 9. Week number 10, the Panthers are on the road at Chicago. Chicago is -2.5, and this is really the first one to me that I've kicked back and forth in my head a lot of times. I'm going to give the difference to the Chicago Bears here, and I'm going to give the difference to DJ Moore. I think this is a game that DJ Moore is going to, not that I think he harbors ill will to Carolina, but if you get the chance to show a team that traded you that they made a mistake, you take that opportunity. That along with a quarterback that is more mobile than Tua and better at avoiding contact in Justin Fields. Give me Chicago in this one. That is going to move Carolina in week 10 to me for 4-6.
All right, so Justin Fields has come out and said that he's going to throw for 4,000 yards this year. And Colin Cowherd has come at him and said he's a bust. So he's got a lot to prove, plus he has a lot to prove anyway. They haven't actually won there very much, but some of that has to do with turnover and coaching and other things too. I think this is going to be a close game, but I got to go with the Bears also.
All right, so I'm sitting them through week 10 at 4-6. Lonzo at 6-4. We go to week 11. Dallas comes to town. Y'all, I do not believe in the Dallas Cowboy hype. I do not believe that Dallas is suddenly found.
How dare you come at America's team?
Merc.
What are you doing?
That being said, I'm picking Dallas to win this game.
Yeehaw!
That's the first time you've used that clip correctly. No, it's not. It's the second. You hit Broadway Street in Nash Vegas with it yesterday too. I'm going to take Dallas in this one, and I'm going to take Dallas because if Dallas is going to be good, it is because they are going to have a wildly aggressive defense this year. It's going to be hard to score points against the Dallas Cowboys. And for a team that is still working on finding a true number one receiver, if they find one, this pick could change for me. I'm going to go Dallas gets the win at Charlotte, and that's going to move them to 4-7 for me.
This is hard because I don't hate Dallas, but you know what? I don't believe in them either.
Yep.
And
I'm in the same boat.
I'm going Panthers. Why not?
Okay. All right. Let's go to week 12. The Panthers are on the road at the Tennessee Titans. This one is confusing too, because I just don't know how much more dynamic a bad offense last year is, but they do have Derrick Henry alongside DeAndre Hopkins, and Ryan Tannehill has been good when he's had wide receiver support. Remember, they sent Brown out to Philly, and he came up and smoked them last year. If DeAndre Hopkins can replace what they lost in Brown when they sent him to Philly, the Titans could be better, but I will take Carolina in this one. I think they can disrupt enough, and Tennessee's defense is going to be a question mark. If they're scoring points at this point, I'll take Charlotte. Give me the 5th win here.
All right, so I'm struggling with this because I do believe that the Titans are going to be better. I think last year was kind of an off year for them, and getting Hopkins can catch the ball from anybody. Look at him early on in Houston. He had a ton of different quarterbacks, and he still was one of the leading receivers in the league. So whoever's going to be the quarterback for Tennessee, he is going to catch the ball. And Derrick Henry's back there, and I'm going to go with Tennessee here.
All right, so we're going 5-7 for Rob Brown, and I think Lonzo is sitting on 6-6 here.
No, it's 7-5.
7-5.
We keep doing that thing where it's
Panthers at Buccaneers in week 13. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be good. Win number 6 for Carolina here.
Yep, win over here.
We go to week 14. Panthers at Saints. I just think right now, and Carolina getting, again, a number one wide receiver could correct this a little bit. I just think New Orleans is a slightly better football team. Keep me at 6 wins here. Saints at home over Carolina in week 14.
All right. I had the Panthers beating them earlier on. I think they're going to split the series, so I'm going to say the Panthers lose this one.
Falcons at Panthers in week 15. I'm going to ride the same line of logic, but this time it's in Charlotte. And while I think the fan base might be losing a little confidence here, sitting on 6 wins and working towards getting a winning record, I think that stadium is sold out that night. Give me the Panthers at home.
I also am taking the Panthers there.
So I've got them at 7 wins right now. Remember, the over-under total is 7.5 right now. Week 16, Jordan Love and the Packers come down to Charlotte. They hit the over. I do not think the Packers are going to be good. The wide receivers they had all followed A-Rod of the football persuasion out to the Jets. Jordan Love is going to be in his true rookie year with some experience, but I don't believe they're going to be able to run that ball. Give me Carolina at home over Green Bay.
All right, I'm also taking the Panthers, and I think I'm at 10 wins.
I think you are at 10 wins.
I think
now.
I am.
Panthers at Jags. That brings me to I believe 8 at this point, 500 through week 16. Panthers at Jags. Y'all, I'm sorry. I think the Jaguars are a good team this year. Give me an L on the road at Jacksonville.
All right, so here's the thing. At this point, I believe that the Panthers are in the playoffs if they've won 10 games. I believe that they're actually winning the South, according to me. The Jags are going to struggle more than what Rob thinks they're going to, and they're going to need this game a little bit more. But I'm going Panthers because I believe last year was a fluke for the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are who we thought they were.
You
go ahead and crown them. But I'm not.
And then we'll wrap it up. Week 18, Bucks at Panthers. Again, I just think Carolina's a better team. Give me Carolina at home over Tampa Bay.
All right, so you may say unrealistic, but I guess I end up with 12 wins for the Panthers.
Yeah, it's unrealistic.
No, it's not.
It's unrealistic.
If they win all their division games, which I didn't have them winning all of them, I had them losing 1 to New Orleans, but beating everybody else. I mean, I'm talking about in the South. They very well are going to be up there on win totals.
I don't think 12. I think if you'd have worked it to 10-7, that's about as high as I'd be willing to go today.
I'm a believer, Rob. I think deep down,
I'm an analyst.
I think, I think deep down the Saints thing may just may factor into some of the. I think it may factor into a little bit of the pick in there.
I can't have an opinion on Carolina without somebody going, "You just love the Saints too much, Rob."
I don't think I sounded that way. I'd like to meet someone who actually sounds that way, though.
I am going to go Carolina wraps up the year at 9-8. I think they hit the over. I think they overperform in Vegas. I think they end up one game behind New Orleans in the division. Let's take a break. We're back after this. Your thoughts are welcome. 71307 is the text line. Start your text with FAN. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. See, this is why when I moved here, I never wanted to reveal my fandom of any team.
Hey, I tried to diffuse my bias, but it's obvious that I'm biased. So, I mean, like I said, in the NFC South, nobody is clearly, they're not picking anyone clearly to be the team.
I'm picking two teams that could be the team. It's either New Orleans or Carolina. I don't see it out of Tampa. I don't see it out of Atlanta. Atlanta breaks the losing streak. Woo!
If Carolina can't win the division, for some reason, if everything goes bad, I hope Tampa Bay wins. But screw you, Tom Brady. Then we can say, was it Tom Brady or was it Bruce Arians? We could already say that, actually. You're right. I don't. But I'm also realistic about how good Clemson has been. And Clemson is the ACC. That's not until someone dethrones them, they're the ACC. I hope that happens this year. I really do. I hope the highly touted Florida State Seminoles whip that butt. That's what I hope. As of now, I will not be predicting that, though. Actually, I hope some low-level teams who aren't supposed to beat Clemson. But that's just unrealistic. I hope to hear by the end of the season, I miss DJ. That's what I hope to hear. I hope to hear that. I hope that all the car flags are put away by week 3. That's what I hope. I think they have a couple gimmies the first 2 games. I can't remember. I also hope something flies in Jim Harbaugh's mouth when he's on the sidelines since he can't keep his mouth closed and he can't coach the rest of the season. I don't want him to die or anything. Just, there's a cicada lodged in there and it takes them 6 weeks to get it out because they don't want to damage his vocal cords. Cicadas get pretty big, so his mouth is like the mummy, when it opens. That's on the sideline. It's
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. We've checked in on our Carolina betting totals. Rob Brown is going to pick a winning record of 9-8 on the season. Lonzo going with the optimistic route of 12-5 in Bryce Young's first year.
Welcome to Spartanburg, Panthers.
Ooh. Hey, man. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they go I don't. I hope they go 15-2. I do. But I'm trying to get paid, Jack. Doing my job, and that they go further so I can do my job more.
Hey, you want to start going for the next couple of weeks and just hanging out at Krispy Kreme at a certain hour? Because the players come in there.
Gotcha.
There's videos. There's videos every year of the players
making a fat joke.
jumping. No. I would never do that. Yeah. We all sturdy up in here. No, I mean, just go hang out and people watch.
I mean, if you're going to, you're setting yourself up just to meet offensive linemen, which.
That's not true. Cam Newton was in there when he was there.
Yeah,
they all go in there. It's Krispy Kreme, Rob.
Coming up in the next hour of the radio broadcast, we will get a little Women's World Cup talk in here. A Major League Baseball statistic that absolutely blew my mind yesterday. I'll give you that. And, of course, on top of all of that, we'll hear some comments from Spencer Rattler. South Carolina had their media day yesterday. Old Spence showed up. Did you see the chain Spence was rocking, by the way? Spence had a DJ Uiagalelei style chain, except instead of the big Cinco medallion, Spence had a diamond-encrusted rattlesnake about that big around hanging off the end of it.
I like that.
I liked it. I did. I liked it a lot. So we'll get some of the comment. I'll say this about Spencer Rattler. In listening to his media availability yesterday, dude is not long-winded. He gets to his point and he gets done. There's no extra words with Spencer Rattler. I liked it. Shane pointed out that last year he gave the second longest coach's speech at an SEC Media Day since they started recording those times. He's like, my kids told me shut up and say less. So he did. He did about 20 minutes of talking, and then he did about 10, 12 minutes worth of question answering. We gave you some of those earlier in the show. If you missed those clips from Shane Beamer, friend of the show, you can go back to thefanupstate.com, go to the podcast section, and grab hour number 1. That's where we played those for you. Hey, Zoe. Should we give away a couple of tickets?
I'm thinking first break in the next
First
hour.
break? Okay.
Yeah, because I got some stuff that
I got you.
Yeah.
First break next hour. We give away a pair of tickets to All Elite Wrestling Saturday Night Collision, Saturday, August 5th at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Come see Samoa Joe. FTR, your All Elite Tag Team Champions, will likely be there. We might get a little CM Punk in the building.
I gotta be honest, we're not giving the tickets away right now because I got to go to the restroom.
I
just gotta be.
checks out.
Just to let you know, it's Friday. I'm just being completely honest.
First break next hour, we give away a pair of tickets to All Elite Wrestling Saturday Night Collision, Saturday, August 5th at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Texter says, Rob, Panthers with a rookie quarterback and new head coach and system going to sweep the Falcons. Carolina hasn't done that in the last decade. Falcons beat those Panthers like a Salvation Army drum at Christmas since 95. BY or Desmond Ridder, who do you want right now?
How do you text while you're doing the dirty bird? Is it voice to text?
You know what? I hate a Atlanta Falcon, but the dirty bird, Jamal, was kind of a dude back in the day.
Yeah, but he got into some trouble. Don't look it up.
Still the dirty bird. All right, take a break.
Dirty definitely is the word. And yeah.
Wow. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Third hour's next. It's the Fan Upstate.
You don't remember what he did?
I remember he did something. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a minute. Hang tight. I guess I could bring us back from break.
I was in the process, but yeah.
I'm Greg Caserta.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
We just got an email from the boss, by the way. I guess you don't really have time for it.
Yeah! 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 The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Yeah! Yeah! Let's jump around a couple of different stories as we wrap up the show for the day. We wrap up the show for the week. I am Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. Woo! 71307 is the text line. Start it with FAN, fan. FAM, we will read it on the radio show. You can also give us a buzz at 844-326-3663.
No.
844-326.
He said 864. It's 844.
844.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all right. You trying to get
Friday, dog.
trying to get your weekend on just a little bit earlier, but it's not time yet. Why in the world would you think the show is over yet? Who would think such a thing?
It's Friday. Got to get down on Friday.
We've had so much fun. It's like, can we really handle another hour of fun? Well, we're going to have to.
I hope so, because we have to. It's what we get paid to do.
I could go to network and see what happens.
Here's a number that blew my mind this morning. So, Major League Baseball has been played since the late 1800s.
What?
That is slightly after the conclusion of America's Civil War.
Wow, that's a long time.
It's a very long time. In that time, if I ask you to take a stab at the number, and I know it's a weird one, how many, if you count every player who played one baseball game, just one game in the show, actively played in a game, how many players have played in a professional baseball game?
Wow. After all the, I'm just going to go 5,000.
5,000. Well, you've underwhelmed my number, because my number was going to be somewhere in the mix of like 175,000.
Man, I don't know. I mean, it's a finite amount of people who have played the game, and there wasn't this many games back in the day, and there's a lot of things that factor. I just thought that you might have been trying to fool me, and it's a smaller number than what most people would expect.
Oh, it is a smaller number.
It just makes sense because it's the elite, the best in the world at that time, and wasn't that many teams back in the day. When did they expand to 30?
Just a couple of decades ago. It's probably about to go up again. 26 players on a roster. There's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. Obviously, it hasn't always been the case, but if you take it back to around the 1870s, when what would become Major League Baseball began and professional baseball was on the record, according to the MLB record books.
Are they including all leagues? Are they including the Negro League also?
I believe every
because
league
that was a
has
professional
an affiliation.
Okay, all right.
Goes into this number. I honestly thought the number was going to be six figures, like upwards of 100,000 players. There have been, if you include professional, the Major League Baseball and all the leagues that affiliated to become MLB, for around 147 years, it has been active. If you count every player who has played one game or more, there have been 23,000 players. To put that into perspective, Progressive Field is the smallest stadium in Major League Baseball. It holds 37,830 fans at maximum capacity for a baseball game. If you took every player, in fact, this number popped up on my Twitter earlier, and I actually went and verified the numbers, and it's accurate. If you took every player that's ever played a professional game in a league that is either MLB or one of the leagues that affiliated to become MLB, and you put them all over 147 years into that stadium, you would end up with about 14,000 seats still unfilled. Is that not wild? I don't really have any further thought. I just found that statistic very, very interesting.
It's not that surprising, really, because again, it has to do with how many people in the world actually get to play on a professional level, and it's not as much as people
but
might think.
147 years. I don't know, man. That number just blew my mind. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. All right, let's get a couple of other things going on right now. Dan Snyder is no longer the owner of the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. And if you thought we were obnoxious with that now.
Stop it. You can't do that anymore. That name's going away.
It's not gone away yet. Therefore, the jingle remains. Dan Snyder's sale of the Washington Commanders, bum, 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 has been approved. The price is going to be $6.05 billion for a team that he purchased for about $880 million back in the day. I'd say that's a pretty solid return on investment for Dan Snyder. Josh Harris is the lead of the group that purchased that team from him. Harris said, quote, "I feel an awesome responsibility to the city of Washington. I know what I've got to do. It comes down to winning. It's on me and our ownership group to deliver. That's what we're going to do," end quote. At the same time that $6.05 billion price was approved by the league, and Dan Snyder is now no longer the owner, the NFL also handed down a fine to former Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder of $60 million as a result of an investigation concluding that he sexually harassed the team employee and that the team withheld revenue from the NFL. Now,
does this mean we're not getting the emails?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The NFL, let me tell you where my
how are they keeping him quiet? If I mean,
I'll tell you why. $60 million fine. Okay. That is amongst the largest fines the NFL has ever handed out.
But you take that out of the sale price, so you're not really feeling it as far as that goes.
$60 million works out to 0.01% of the sale price. Of every dollar that he makes from the sale, he has to turn 1 penny over to the National Football League. 1 penny. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. My assumption, because I don't know this, I'm not an attorney. My assumption is that this fine being paid was the condition for the sale being approved, right? And at the price that Dan Snyder set it at, which is at $6.05 billion. The league went with this number, I think, for two reasons. I think they went with this number, A, because if you just read he got levied a $60 million fine, you look at it and you go, damn, that's a lot of money. Because $60 million is more than Lonzo and myself and Mark and Diesel will make combined in our lifetimes. Every job we've ever worked in, every job we will ever work put together, we collectively will not make $60 million. We could all become a millionaire and we probably still would not make $60 million. So you look at it and you go, that's a big number. But then You get to make Dan Snyder go away. You get to make Dan Snyder go away and tell him, here's what we're going to do. We're going to approve the sale. And what we're going to do is say that you owe us 1 penny from every dollar that you make. Because the number is going to sound huge, $60 million. And because most people don't understand the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. Now, I've said this on the show before, and I'll say it again because I think it's important that people recognize this. I like to put it in the concept of time. 1 million seconds, right? Tick, tick, tick. If you were to do 1 million ticks, 1 million seconds, 1 million on your watch, 1 million seconds, Lonzo, is 12 days. 12 days is 1 million seconds. So you can do the math if you want to figure out what 6 million seconds is. 1 billion seconds, Lonzo. 1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years is 1 billion seconds. So let that spin around in the old noggin for a second. If you are fined 1 million seconds of your life, you lose 12 days. If you're fined 1 billion seconds of your life, that's 32 years of your life. If you made $1 a second, it would take you 12 days to be a millionaire. It'd take you 32 years to become a billionaire if you made $1 every second. So what they get to do is they get to have people go, damn, what a big fine. What an immense fine for Dan Snyder. That's a ridiculous number, right? The NFL's never handed out a fine that large. And to Dan Snyder, they get to go, dude, just go. Just leave, man. Just leave. Just go. Just get out. Just be done. You get to walk away with $6 billion minus 60 million, which is a drop in the bucket, man. It's a drop. It's nothing. It's not even worth being concerned about, right? If you went with that numbers to years or seconds to dollars thing, it would take Dan Snyder 192 years to earn the worth of the Dallas Cowboys that he just made. The Dallas Cowboys. The number of dollars he just spent or he just made on the sale of the Washington Commanders would take him 192 years to amass. The same fine that he just paid out of that would take 72 days. Right? So he caught a 192-year addition to his life in return for the price of giving back 12 days out of it. The NFL didn't hand out a $6 million fine because that's what they needed, or excuse me, a $60 million fine because that's a real harsh punishment. They did it so that most of us would look and go, they are serious. They are serious. Look at that. Biggest fine they've ever handed out. They are serious. They did it so that we would go, they are serious, and they could get Dan Snyder to walk away with the full sale price. You just took 12 days. You just took 72 days or whatever it is out of his 192 years that he earned. I'm not impressed, man. I'm not impressed. Oh, we find him. Cool. I don't know what else to say. I'm stunned. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. The league should have done better in terms of making it. What's the punishment for Dan Snyder here? For acting the way he acted, for dragging the Shield, for dragging the Commanders, for ruining that team, and more importantly, directly injuring the people who worked for it. What is the punishment on Dan Snyder?
Maybe the PowerPoint does come into play. Now, I mentioned the emails that we're never going, and you said we'll never get to see them. Maybe this has something to do with it. We're going to give you this fine. You sign this saying you'll never release the emails that you have, and this thing is done.
I think you're right. 9 out of 10 times Lonzo throws out a conspiracy theory, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't believe it. This time I think he's got it. I will join Lonzo under the giant tinfoil cap of truth. Because I think he's right.
Why has it got to be big? I mean, because all right, I get it.
We got big heads, man. It is what it is. I join him under that umbrella of conspiracy. I am at the point now thinking the only reason that there wasn't more of this, the stuff Dan Snyder has done, and at this point with not one but two different independent investigations coming to the same conclusion after hours and hours and hours and hours of work and interviews and database researching and video evidence, etc., they came to the same concurrent conclusions. After all of that, the stuff that Dan Snyder is accused of doing, and while he has not been found guilty in the court of law, certainly at this point there's been more than enough evidence for me to believe that he did the things he's accused of. The dude has done things worth jail time. The NFL fined him 1 penny out of every dollar he just sold the team for. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. We ought to demand better. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute.
Hold on. We promised that we'd be giving something away during this break. So we need to be giving stuff away during this break.
I mean, I was going to segue to that.
Were you? I just, it's more spectacular the way I did it.
That's fair. Ladies and gentlemen, not 1, but 2 tickets to the August 5th edition of Saturday Night Collision is coming up right now. Your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Saturday, August 5th edition of Saturday Night Collision. It is taking place right here in Greenville, South Carolina. That show will be Saturday evening. I will be there. Some of the Armada is going to be there. And now it is your chance to join the Armada with caller number... I can't see the thumb. Is the thumb up? 5? Caller number 5.
I'm Booker T in here, man. How can you not? I can't spin a Rooney. I mean, well, I could.
You don't know if you can't spin a Rooney.
No, I have tried.
Oh, okay.
Before it was called spin a Rooney, it was just breakdancing, and
yeah. If you did it before it was called spin a Rooney, you tried it in the mid 90s.
No.
Try it now.
By the way, breakdancing started in the 80s.
I didn't say that.
I said there.
If you tried it before they called it the Spin-a-Rooney, that means you tried it pre-mid-90s.
Yeah. I did it in its original form is what I'm trying to say.
Lonzo hit a Spin-a-Rooney.
With help.
Caller number 5 right now to 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. Caller number 5 right now is winning a pair of tickets to the August 5th Saturday Night Collision presented by All Elite Wrestling at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. We give those tickets away right now to caller number 5. We are back for a little discussion on the Women's World Cup. Team USA taking on Vietnam tonight, 9 p.m. We'll break that game down next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're going to pop away while Alonzo answers the phone. We will return ever so briefly. Don't go anywhere.
And we are back, and we have a winner. Congratulations to Jacob.
Jacob.
And I appreciate all the people who got the Booker T thing, even though Rob didn't. Yeah.
I couldn't see your whole hand, man.
And no, I didn't shake my head, because if I do that while talking, it will sound like I have palsy or something. I don't know. Gonna win one for the Gipper. That's what they're gonna do. Excuse me there, Robert. What is processed blue? I don't know what that is.
Robert.
They won't be wearing leather helmets, as far as we know.
I'm your huckleberry.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is over on the other side of the glass this AM.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
That's him right there.
Hi.
Team USA gets their 2023 Women's World Cup campaign underway today. The quest for the three-peat opens. There are 4 stars atop the crest on those jerseys. We are seeking number 5. And tonight at 9 p.m., that is 1 p.m. over in Auckland, New Zealand, where this match is taking place. The United States kicks off against Vietnam.
Hey, you sounded just like the crocodile hunter right then.
You mean America's favorite TV animal guy? I agree.
Nah.
Anyway, players will take to the pitch at Eden Park, the national stadium of New Zealand. That is where the All Blacks, their world-famous rugby team, host the majority of its game. It's also where New Zealand's football team knocked off Norway 1-0 in front of the largest fan base to ever watch a soccer match in New Zealand took place. This will be televised tonight in English on Fox Sports. You can also tune in for Spanish coverage on Telemundo as well, if that's your bag. This team is really interesting because the last couple of World Cups, this team has relied on a healthy dosage of veterans. This year is going to be represented by a really intriguing mix of both vets and newcomers.
Let's go, Rodman.
Trinity Rodman is one of them. Trinity Rodman, in the United States' final match before the World Cup when they took on Wales about a week ago, Trinity Rodman checked in as a reserve. Trinity Rodman has been fighting for a starting spot on this team. And frankly, she might have earned it. I'm interested to see what the starting 11 looks like in tonight's match, because Trinity Rodman checked into a scoreless game against a game Welsh team, and she popped not 1 but 2 into the back of the net. The final scoreline was, of course, 2-0 to the United States. Trinity Rodman is one of those recent newcomers. And yes, for those of you that have asked, Trinity Rodman is indeed the daughter of the Worm, Dennis. So there's a little flair. There's a little bit. She doesn't quite try to stand out like her old man did when he was playing back in the day for the Pistons and the Bulls. But Trinity Rodman has stood out in terms of performance, and she is not alone. There are some injuries to some of the vets. We know that Becky Sauerbrunn is out. She's got an injury that is going to keep her out of this tournament. We know that Kristen Press, midfielder Samantha Mewis, Katarina Macario, Mallory Pugh-Swanson were all supposed to be mainstays on this team. All of them are left off the roster due to injury. But there are 9 players returning from the team that took home the cup in 2019. Megan Rapinoe is there. She will be starting on limited minutes. Same with Rose Lavelle, who was there. Alex Morgan, Crystal Dunn, Julie Ertz is at 100%. She is on the roster. So this is going to be kind of a pass the torch tournament, kind of a pass the torch year for the U.S. women's national soccer team. You have got the vets, Morgan, Rapinoe, Lavelle, Dunn, Ertz. You have got the vets who have been really shouldering the load for what has been a dynastic run for this team the last handful of tournaments, both the Olympics and the World Cups. But they are going to have to hand it over to the young cats, and they're going to have to actively do it in this tournament. This is not a, hey, one last one for the vets. Hey, one last run for this team. This is very much the next generation has to take over in this tournament. We mentioned Trinity Rodman. She is 21 years old. She is a forward for the Washington Spirit. She was the NWSL 2021 Rookie of the Year. There's Sophia Smith, a forward for the Portland Thorns. She was the 2022 MVP of the NWSL. She was also U.S. Soccer's Player of the Year. She is 22 years old. Naomi Girma, a defender for San Diego Wave, was Smith's teammate at Stanford. She is the daughter of Ethiopian immigrants to America who grew up in the Bay Area. She was the number 1 pick in last year's NWSL draft. She will have an expanded role on this team. The matchup against Vietnam is interesting. The World Cup went from 24 to 32 teams at this World Cup. There is more space for not just up-and-coming teams, and Vietnam is one of them. This is their first World Cup appearance, but Vietnam also qualified for this World Cup, the first ever for this country, men's or women's side, by winning the final direct berth from Asia at last year's Asian Cup playoffs. So they catch the U.S. right out of the gate. But with those 8 additional teams, you also get teams who show up knowing we're dogs. We're big dogs. We're not favored to even make it out of the group. And those teams get dangerous. Those are the teams, to draw a direct parallel, that looked like Ghana did for a number of years on the men's side. You guys remember how much trouble over a couple of World Cups Ghana gave the United States men's national team. That infamous last-second goal where Tim Howard found Landon Donovan streaking down the right side with seconds left in the dying gasp of that game. And Dempsey and Donovan combined for the rebound goal that moved the Americans into the knockout stage. That's the type of teams you catch with an expanded field, especially when you come in as a heavy favorite like the Americans are going to this evening. Now, the U.S. has gone to 5 consecutive World Cups in which the U.S. has had its group stage opener against the team from the Asian Football Confederation. The good news is the last time they did it was back in 2019. They opened up against Thailand in that one. They won that game 13-0. You're going to be favored on a similar score line tonight against Vietnam. Vietnam is going to throw everything. The Americans should theoretically be not just heavily favored, they should be able to outright win this game without a problem. But you can't get caught up in the coast. You can't get caught up in just coasting on this. You have to come out and throw everything at them out of the gate. The U.S. women are 50-1 favorites to win this, right? You have got to put down, I think that works out to, you got to put down $5,000 to win $100 on this line. Like, they're going to win this game. What I do not want is for this game to be competitive, all right? I can't have this game be competitive, because if this game is competitive, then you start getting some of the other teams, the teams that are good, the teams like Switzerland, the teams like Canada. You start getting teams like the Netherlands, who the Americans play in match number 2 next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. And right now, the Americans are only minus 135 to win that game. You can catch a draw in that game at plus 280. Those aren't numbers that I love. And if you go out against Vietnam and you don't put up a 7, 8, 9 nothing scoreline, you start instilling not just confidence in that run, you start instilling great confidence in teams like the Netherlands. And then there are other teams. There are teams like China. There are teams like Korea. There are teams like Japan, like Germany, who have great pride in their program. And much like it has on the men's side, I've said for years, we're at a great point for Americans men's soccer. Why? Because we're catching up. Because the gap between Germany and Italy and France is closing. Those teams are still the powerhouses, much like the Americans are still the powerhouse on the women's side. But the gap is closing. The same is true for the American women. The gap is closing. The world is catching up. And if the Americans want to maintain their stranglehold on international soccer, if we want to continue to be the powerhouse in international women's soccer, tonight's the night you got to come out and prove that's who you are, right? It's the old saying in football, you are who your record says you are. You are who your last game proves that you are. Tonight's the next last game for the Americans. A team like Vietnam knows that they are outclassed. They do not have the dogs to compete with the Americans. But soccer is a weird sport. Soccer is a weird sport. It's like baseball. The best teams are going to drop one here and there because you give away a dumb one. They have to come out tonight. They have to kill tonight. They have got to come out with a bloodthirsty vengeance tonight. They have got to come out tonight with nothing but the desire to end the hopes and dreams of Vietnam, to make them go, oh, we didn't deserve to be here. They won the berth from Asia, a group that does include Japan's women, China's women. This is a game that if you do not put them away handily, the Netherlands are staring at you. This is a game that if you do not put them away, Denmark, England, Portugal, who the Americans will catch in the final game, which is not next week, but the week after that, I believe Tuesday at like 3 a.m. Not looking forward to the early alarm. We'll catch it because I'll be getting up to watch that game, especially if the group is on the line. France, Brazil, Italy, Argentina, Germany. All of these teams have nothing but the U.S. in their target. Nothing but the U.S. as their sights right now. Catch them, beat them, take the star away from them. You've got to come out tonight and make them go, oh, damn, they're still good. They're still good. Look, I don't have a big breakdown of Vietnam. Never seen them before, to tell you the truth. I don't know what their players look like. I don't know what their team strategy looks like. And that scares you a little bit. That's not to say I've got the same eyes on the world of women's soccer that the management staff of the U.S. women's national team does. I don't. They're going to know more than I do. But it's a new team. It's a team that has never been here before. It's a team that looks to make their debut to a country that is very, and should be, very proud of itself. That's dangerous. I want to see better fluidity with the ball than we showed against Wales. And listen, Wales is a better team than Vietnam. But there were parts of that send-off game against Wales where the USWNT looked a little disjointed, where it looked like they were flipping. We got a text from Dan, the superfan man, who said, I love watching the U.S. women that keep the ball on the ground and get dirty. Go U.S. This team very much loves to be in control of the ball, in control of possession. They want to end a game with a 65, 70% possession rate. And part of doing that is not putting the ball in the air. Part of doing that is not going with the spray and pray. Part of doing that is not sending a bunch of lofty efforts into the box and hoping, as the men sometimes do, that you're going to win the game by getting the right tall player on the end of the right speculative cross and getting a lucky bounce off the turf. They want to create with possession. They want to create with shapes. They want to create with off-ball movement. And they want shots not to be hopes and prayers, but strategically placed surgical efforts. That's what I need tonight. Vietnam is likely going to bring chaos at you. Vietnam is going to likely be throwing weird looks, weird shapes. They're going to be likely throwing everything they can come up that is not traditional, normal soccer, the way the U.S. is used to seeing it out of teams like Italy, France, Wales, etc. They are going to be throwing stuff at you that you have not seen, shapes at you've not seen, tactics at you, and they are going to adopt the spray and pray. So I'd like to see the U.S. women hold one extra player back as a distribution point. Keep one player in the midfield. That way, when the ball finds its way there, you know that there are three who are not holding. There are three that are releasing, that are three that are pushing the side, pushing the middle. Keep the back line of Vietnam spread out, thin, and guessing. Own the ball, own possession. Don't panic. Don't play to their chaos. Just dominate the positioning on the field and just be better. Just be better. They do that tonight. If they walk out of here with that 7+ win line, I'm going to feel real good about game number 2 and game number 3. Both of those games against teams that very, very much could be threats to knock us down. Not out. I think we're getting out of the group. I don't have a fear that we're not getting out of the group, but I want to win it outright. I want to get us every possible advantage. And that group, Vietnam, is the low spot on the totem pole, right? And I'm glad we have the warm-up tune-up with them. I would not love a match with the Netherlands or Portugal out of the gate. I'm glad we get Vietnam, and I'm glad Netherlands and Portugal get each other to kind of beat each other up a little bit before we take on one or the other. Control possession, thin out the back line of Vietnam, and by the way, a lot of one-on-one ball. I trust the forward line, no matter what the mix is. But I trust the forward line to win 1v1s, to create space, to pull the back line of Vietnam out of position, out of formation, get them out of sorts and out of shape, and then take runs at the back post. Do that tonight, you win. Win tonight, you're probably in good shape. I could see Netherlands beating Portugal. You'll have a 3-3 up top, and that's who you get in game 2. Game 2 decides if you win the group or if you've got to play for a win in the last day against Portugal, which I would prefer not to if it's avoidable. All right. We'll take a look on that game. 9 o'clock tonight, kickoff, first match between the U.S. and Vietnam in the Women's World Cup, which is already underway. Let's run to a break. When we come back, 1 or 2 final thoughts on the show, Twitter trending topics, and we call it a week. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, we'll be right back, guys. I got to grab something out of the office.
So you stayed for the thing, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
I couldn't.
Did.
It's so disappointing.
Sure did.
So In the Air Tonight was playing in the restroom. I immediately went over and turned it up and realized there's no way I could stay for the Tom roll. And it's like, I got to go because I had to be back in here just in case. But Rob got to hear it. So at least one of us got to hear it. It's one of those songs, and I'm sure there are other songs for everybody where there's this one part that everyone really likes, and you've got to at least stay for that part.
No stranger to you and me.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's your
Like the synth hit in Owner of a Lonely Heart. You got to wait till you hear that. Dun, 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 dun. Or to me, and we've had discussions about this in Wonderwall where they say backbeat and then they immediately go to the backbeat. It's just really cool. No one's answered my tinfoil question. I'm disappointed.
What was the tinfoil question?
I put it on Twitter and Facebook.
Ah.
How much tinfoil how much of your head do you have to cover with the tinfoil? I mean, is it just forehead level, or do you got to go deeper? I'm curious.
Wrapping up the Rob Brown Show for the day, wrapping up the Rob Brown Show for the week, ladies and gentlemen. Do want to remind you of a handful of things we got coming up for you. Tomorrow, of course, Bet for the Cycle, the nationally syndicated baseball gambling show that is sweeping the nation. Takes place from noon to 4 on the BetQL network. If you want to listen to that, you can grab the Odyssey app, search and subscribe to not only, obviously, the Fan Upstate, where you can listen to the Rob Brown Show and Offsides with Mark Ryan live every single day, but you can also favorite BetQL and listen to that show. Hey, listen, even if you're not a gambling guy or a baseball guy, it's still just a ridiculous show to listen to. It's all the chaos of this show amplified.
Yeah, you get to see people in pain of some sort.
Yep.
When they lose bets.
Tomorrow we will be having our Parlay v Parlay challenge on the early game, which is Yankees Royals. And if Decker and I lose the bet, then on next Saturday's show, we will both have to consume a full shot glass of the bomb sauce from the Hot One show. It is the hottest sauce that they put on that show. If we win that bet, then our young producer Mario will have to drink not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 glasses of that hot sauce the next Saturday. And at any point during the show that Cody Decker and I decide he has to take one.
How did this progress to that many?
So we did the bomb sauce punishment a handful of weeks ago, and Mario lost. And the punishment for losing. The punishment for losing was a shot glass full of the bomb sauce. Well, Mario decided instead of taking the shot glass that he would dip a French fry into the sauce, right? A single French fry into the sauce. Then we allowed him off the hook for that because we were trying to be kind and nice. A mistake we won't make again.
Crinkle, home fry.
Just regular old McDonald's fries.
Okay.
Like little fry, not even like massive surface area fry, just one little fry. So then Mario said that because he was in so much pain, he wanted us to have to go through the same punishment. We said, fine, but because you are running back a punishment, we said from the beginning, no repeat punishments. Because you are running back a punishment, we have to up your punishment if you lose. To which he agreed. And then he said, well, now that I've done it, I can take it. We said, all right, 4. And he agreed to that. That was the price he had to pay to bring that the punishment. Now, aside from Bet to the Cycle, noon to 4 tomorrow on the BetQL Network. Coming up on Monday and Tuesday evenings, yours truly will be stepping in for BetMGM Tonight. BetMGM Tonight, of course, runs from 7 to 11 every weeknight right here on the Fan Upstate and countless Odyssey stations around the world. I will be stepping in to fill in some big shoes to host that. So on Monday and Tuesday night, not only will you get the Rob Brown Show from 9 to noon, you'll also get Rob Brown on BetMGM Tonight on the BetQL Network from 7 to 11. You'll be able to hear that live on these airwaves Monday and Tuesday evening. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be live from ACC Media Days in Charlotte, North Carolina. So make sure you tune in as we'll be covering the ACC's finest. I nailed it, Lonzo. I absolutely stuck the landing to the second on the clock.
All right. I forgot.
I nailed it.
I forgot where I was.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right. Time for Twitter Trending Topics.
Is it?
It is. Apparently, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending if I can, read or remember that I need to read now. The first thing that's trending is Buddy Matthews.
All right. I didn't know if this was going to make it to the show or not. A video came out from WWE superstar Rhea Ripley, who in real life is dating AEW star Buddy Matthews, but in kayfabe and in the storyline is with, of course, the son of Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, as part of the Judgment.
That's Dirty Dom.
Condom. Well, last night a video came out of Rhea Ripley where she was answering questions from fans on Twitter, and she was asked by a Twitter user, what's your favorite thing to do with Dom Dom? To which she laughed and said, I think you already know. Then a second part pops up where Rhea Ripley says something that is bleeped out. It's just a single word that is bleeped out. Now, I am 95% convinced that she said the word fight, but it's hilariously, needlessly censored to where it sounds like she is.
They would never do that. You don't do that
Getting
in
another
radio
F-word.
or TV
Right.
you don't do that. Come
Well,
on.
ever since then, Twitter has just been beating the hell out of Buddy Matthews for Rhea Ripley and kayfabe saying, or at least making it sound like she said that she loves to engage in some adult recreational time with Dom Dom. And my man, Buddy, I got to tell you, I am fine with Buddy letting Rhea act as if she's in a relationship in kayfabe. I think last night would have been where even very secure in his masculinity, Rob Brown would have made a phone call like, hey, Rhea, no, dude, no, come on.
She's just doing her job. I mean, it's like, I saw you in this movie and you were doing this and you can't be doing that anymore. It's like, well, don't date an actor. I mean, that's just.
It's part of the game. Look, if
It
you're
is.
going to date Scarlett Johansson, you've got to understand there's going to be movies where Scarlett is going to act as if she is in friendly confines with other male actors. You're just going to have to live with that. It's part of the territory. I tell the lady friend all the time, in dating me, you're going to have to recognize there are aspects of the on-air persona, which I would never fly in our regular day-to-day life, but they do on the air. But that was rough. That was rough for old Buddy.
All right. The next thing is.
More importantly, Max Caster is going to eat him alive.
Yes, he is. The next thing is trending, and he's already done that before. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't like it hasn't happened. The next thing is trending is Cocaine Shark.
So a report came out yesterday that there are, listen, the cocaine trade takes place across the water in the Gulf of Mexico in the Atlantic Ocean, where drug smugglers craft homemade vessels to ship bricks of cocaine across the ocean. Well, sometimes those bricks of cocaine find their way into the ocean. In fact, sometimes in beaches in Florida, you'll just find a brick of cocaine floating around. We refer to them as white groupers down there. There's a report coming out that scientists are beginning to find sharks that have consumed bricks of cocaine. And of course, Cocaine Bear, the sequel, Cocaine Shark, could get wild. And finally, trending, Lonzo, I'm going to tell you, is Tony Bennett.
Yes, I was going to do that.
R.I.P. to a standard legend in 20. If you never listen to the albums that Bennett and Lady Gaga put out together, they're incredible. They're incredible. RIP to a legend. And RIP to this week of broadcasting. We're done. We're going home. See y'all next Monday morning while we do it all over again, but better. Don't forget, bet for the cycle tomorrow, bet MGM tonight, Monday and Tuesday night, ACC Media Day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Y'all have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See ya. It's the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later. Yeah. I vote we replace the Panther growl with the LA Knight. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I dropped eye contact because I'm just like,
it's Friday.
Go.
Who cares?
Go.
Who
Go.
cares?
Go. 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 Go.
All right, guys and gals, you're all spectacular people. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. For those of you that watch Bet for the Cycle, we will see you tomorrow. For the rest of you, we'll see you Monday.
By the way, tune into the Upstate Pulse tomorrow night. We don't say that enough, but
we should.
But I'll be on, and you should watch it.
It's going to have a very interesting conversation about fonts on the internet.
I am. It's going to be exciting.
It is. It is. Have a good one. Goodbye.